Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Shooting the Shelf here on Just Shelve It. Hope everybody's having a great evening. I'm Jesse Arnold, and with me, as always, is my faithful companion and co-host, Curtis Ackerman. We're on the Hat Crew tonight. I think we're really trying to impress Len this week. So, Curtis, what's going on? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very excellent.
Oh,
Yeah,
excellent is good.
got a lot of painting done this weekend. Still wish I would have made a little bit more progress, but I'm happy with what I got done. And 12 weeks, man, 12 weeks. So
Yeah, 12 is just a number
that's true.
for this scenario. So a quick shout out to everyone in the chat, or if you're watching this on replay, thank you so much for being here. We really enjoy the folks that get to jump in during the live chat. It's always fun. Or for you folks who leave comments afterwards, we appreciate you watching and hanging out with us. So I hope we provide you some entertainment and interesting chats while you're doing whatever it is you do while you listen to this. But quick shout out to, we got Dave Orkin, Joe Gonzalez, Mr. Tuing, which I believe he said is John Strange, Jose Sanchez, Chris Durant, We Talk TV, Douglas Tupper, Hank, and Kevin Dufresne. Welcome everybody to the show. Let's put our digital hands together for a warm digital. I'm using that word too many times. It's going to start losing its meaning. Welcome to the one and only Scott Warren.
Yo, what's happening?
Not much, Scott. Welcome to the shelf. How are you doing tonight?
I am good. Thanks, you guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, happy to have you. It seems like you've been customizing a long time. I just became aware of you, I guess, was it Heroes Con or Toylanta? I saw you pop up in the Cabal, and you were like painting at the Horseman booth or like right next to them or something. So I was like, we got to talk to this guy.
They didn't have a lot of space for me at Heroes Con, so I actually went over to the concession stand and I kind of took over a whole table.
Okay.
Kind of befriended the artists that were there. I'm like, hey, when I get up and walk away, watch my stuff. But I went through and I painted a blue troll, and I actually did it as a magma troll. So we repainted the whole thing, and I airbrushed it there on site because I've got a portable airbrush studio that I take with me at the conventions.
That's awesome.
Went ahead and painted it there. I had it completely done when I was there within 2 days. I came back home and I actually did all the tattoo work. So on his chest it says Ish because I bought it from Toys R Ish. And then I did a tribal, and it's actually a combination of Swahili and Arabic down his chest. And I actually kind of tried to take the meanings and rewrite them and kind of interblend them a little bit.
That's cool.
Very cool. Was that we'll get into that, but first we've got our segment to kick off the show, shelf selections. Roll that footage, Curtis.
All right. I have the first one here. This is at Century Productions on Instagram. Another amazing toy photographer. Has this, picture on the left there of Kang, just kind of walking up the stairs and kind of looking over his shoulder, and I just thought it was really an iconic looking shot. And then I love when they put the behind the scenes things next to it. So this second slide was the behind the scenes. So I just think that was a cool shot, and thought it'd be a good one for this week.
I love the way he did the actual digital, not digital effects, but if you take a look at the behind the scene, he has the paper cutouts laid in line to actually give it the depth, and you can actually see from the forward to the back, and it looks like it's actually just infinite. It's beautiful.
Well, and the the piece in the front as well as the background, in my opinion, made it look like it was straight out of a comic book. Like it just has a really comic booky feel.
Yeah, that's cell shading.
I wouldn't have like if there was a little chat bubble with it. I think that that would have fit in really nicely. So I just liked how that turned out.
Yeah, I do really like that, the paper, like the flat 3D paper or the flat paper, but like staged in different places to give that depth look, and then the fully rendered actual figure there. That's a really cool idea. I think that's pretty neat.
Next one is Jesse's.
Okay, I saw this just scrolling through my feed on Instagram, and I love Ahsoka Tano, and with the show debuting this week, I was like, I got to throw this in my picks for the week. This is from KO_artwork on Instagram. I believe I hit the follow button right after I screen grabbed this. So, but yeah, I really love Ahsoka. I love her white lightsabers from her Rebels and Mandalorian era. I'm very excited for the show, and this was just a really fun, kind of playful, bright rendition that I really liked. It just jumped out at me.
You guys see like on the cloth they actually have from the cold weather cloth to a warm weather cloth fade. At the back of the cloth, right there by her backside.
Oh yeah,
she has that nice bright warmth there. It actually shows the reflection of the lightsaber. But in the front, you have that directional lighting source, which is one of my favorite things to do, which is directional lighting. And I even like the color burst, like the actual sunspot burst that they put in there, just to give it like you're staring up at a hero.
Yeah, this is
100%.
really cool. If there was an animated series in this style, I think I would be very interested in watching it. Like like you said, Jesse, it's just very bright and hopeful, and I don't know, it's real fun.
I'd love to see an action figure like that one.
Yep.
Love to see it. I'd buy that line in a heartbeat.
Totally.
Next one is for me. This is Mr. Paul Hodgson on Instagram, and been loving all the Century repaints I'm seeing in the Cabal, the Cosmic Cabal. Here's just another great one. I know, we'll get into Scott's later. Scott's had some amazing ones too. But I
talked about this. Yeah. He sent me DM about his work, and he showed me this was all blown apart and pieces still. And it's amazing. It's beautiful work. Absolutely so crisp, so clean.
Yeah, there's so many details on that sculpt. I think I don't know. I think some people slept on this. I know that I've seen a lot of repaints and stuff, but I just think this was severely underordered, because when you see the original figure, everything's that one solid color, and it's really hard to see or catch all the details. But as soon as you see a few repaints on it, I mean, there's like a million different ways that you could paint these things up, and they all look different.
One thing I love that most people don't point out is if you take a look when the characters turn backwards, you guys notice he's got his butt plate is actually a thong.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Now Doug pointed it out to me today, because I didn't really pay attention to it, but I actually paint the thongs on mine, so they're like multicolored and they almost look kind of lacy. And I do it as like it's kind of funny to throw in there, like, okay, let's put that back around there. And I also love the metallics he did, because you can see where he's actually using turbo dork to actually offset where it's mixed medium, and it really draws the eye into the center.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the black on the joints too. I don't know. It makes it look very realistic, because you would kind of have, on those joint spots some more flexible material and stuff. So
almost like a Space Marine second skin kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I liked the black feels. I mean, obviously some of it's like on the kneecap section and everything, but like it feels like it's like the bodysuit underneath, like that the armor like is magnetized and like all scienced out to like snap on or interface with. Yeah, that is really cool.
I like it's actually the turbine in the chest. If you look on the back side of the upper side of the turbine's silver, but even up here it's blacked out. And that's not easy to get to. So when you get into that, you're looking at a 3, maybe 4 horsehair brush to get in there to get really fine detail work. But it's amazing. I love seeing other guys work when it's crisp and it's clean, and it just looks like, hey, I just walked off the assembly line. I'm going to kill aliens.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I'm sure we'll get to the, some of these where they get more. I'm sure there's going to be some customs that'll be, tarnished or rusty or dirty or whatever. But I love this clean look with all the different details, in it and stuff. And like I said, you could do like a million different ways, and they're all going to look, unique and cool. So
he also used the king's head.
Yeah.
And that's one of their better sculpts of the facial features, because it gives them a very almost Romanistic, very high cheekbone, drawn out chin, very regal look to it.
I mean, he could use the CA Trooper head named after one and only Curtis Ackerman, but we'll accept the Attila head. So, this one is Jesse's.
I love that.
I love She-Hulk, and I enjoyed the show, so I just thought this was a really nice shot. Again, we talked with Jesse last week and different photographers to how forcing the eye down like that narrow corridor of this hallway or this section. So there's probably not a lot going on. It's not like a huge diorama. It's like probably a couple pieces just set up just right. But with the lighting effects, like the light, whatever that's coming from behind the TV cart there and everything, I just really liked. I just thought that was cool, and I just think She-Hulk's awesome. So,
well, you notice how Hulk is just out of focus, just barely out of focus. And if you look at him, you can focus in on him, but you're not even like She-Hulk's really not even in focus. It's that, like you said, that narrow corridor right down the middle, and you're getting the entire scope of the picture. It's almost like I put it as like a husband and wife having a fight.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Kind of a thing, and that's it. But it's got that really cool vibe where it's the pastel colors. You got purples and blues. You got a little bit of yellow thrown in there, just to kind of offset the colors.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. One of the my favorite parts of that series was the like the training sessions between her and Banner. So this feels like within that segment of time, it feels like it could be part of that she's going through this training. She's not really listening to what he's saying. He's trying to teach her certain ways. She's rebelling and doing it differently, and so I just think it really captures that point of the series for me. So
totally.
And this is what at Lord.
Oh, sorry.
_Bev.
Lord_Bev_.
Gotcha.
That's so cool.
Cool. This is my next one, and this is Sydney Woodfield on Instagram. And I just thought this was a really cool look with the Spider-Man kind of being taken over by the symbiote, and then just you see the figure in front, very blurred out, and it's kind of one of those oh shit moments.
I like the green stuff effect that they did on the shoulders, because those are 3 3/4 figures. So those are smaller, and they're not easy to to really articulate unless you heat them up real well, and then you can kind of bend the joints to where you need them to be. But I love that suit, and I love the fact Craven's coming out, and this is coming out like Craven in the foreground going, well, you can try, but you're not really gonna get anywhere with me, man. Kind of a thing. But yeah, the symbiote work they did is beautiful.
Yeah,
and I love that they didn't try to like hide the kitchen or whatever's in the background like this, even though that's it still feels epic, and that stuff's just blurry enough that it's not like super crisp, but like I just it's almost like the toys themselves are coming to life and having a fight.
I did I had a customer that actually I did the $800 Games Workshop it's the dragon, Smog. And I actually had 3 cans of Monster behind it. And the customer sent me a message going, what am I buying? Am I buying the cans of Monster? Or am I buying the dragon? I was like, sorry, I'll move that. So I love the fact that you pointed that out, because I was like, does anybody else know that there's a can of sugar back there? I love that though.
Yeah, I just thought the whole transformation nature of it was really cool, and like we talk about the emotion in a shot, and what I got from this was like, you thought you were just facing down regular Spider-Man, and then all of a sudden you see the symbiote parts, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Kind of thing.
I think I might have bit off more than I can chew.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. I love that.
Jesse?
This is Amusing King on Instagram. I had to stop and really look at this to realize it's toy photography and not like a CGI render, like movie frame or something.
I almost thought AI when I first saw it, but then if you look close, you can see the joints in the shoulder and the separation in the plates in the chest.
Yeah, it's just the subtle glow in the eyes, the flares coming off the back of his hands and boots.
Oh
and
man.
just the dust. I can't remember if there were behind the scenes shots with this image or elsewhere on the page, but it just made me think of Jesse last week telling us how like he'll like just kick dirt at and with his remote from behind it to
Yeah,
kick up the clouds or
you notice that
whatever. So
that's a wood. It's wood grain at the bottom. Look underneath the character. Look down at the bottom. That's actually a paper.
yeah,
That's wood grain. But still, just to be able to capture that where it almost looks like the wood is glowing, like it's embered behind him, and he's able to come through that with the, like you said, this. It looks almost like it's amphibian fogger in the background where it's blowing stuff out of him. Beautiful work though. God,
and the wood grain makes it look like it's like movement, like it adds to the motion blur.
Yeah. God, that's gorgeous.
Very cool.
Yeah, this is very cinematic. We talked a lot with Jesse last week about different, tips and tricks with photography, and this looks like it incorporates quite a bit of that to give you that movement and give you that realistic feel.
So I also like the separation of the boots in the back, where you actually can see, like even in the Iron Man movies, you can see where when he wants to turn, he's actually moving one leg. That's kind of a rudder. So they actually captured that really well, where they almost got the rudder kind of feel.
And this is Musing King on Instagram.
Musing King. Yep.
All right. And this was my last one. This is at Foggy Creations on Instagram. They actually had a set of 3 of these photos. So it was like this one here where, this little guy, this little plunderling is looking at him through like this portal, and kind of seeing this scheming that's going on. And then the second shot, like they kind of did it on their profile to where it went across the 3 squares, like you've talked about, Jesse. So the second shot was just the picture in the middle, basically the 2 figures. And then on the far right was another plunderling looking through like either a different portal or the opposite side of the portal. So I just thought this was kind of cool, kind of spying on them as this is going on.
That's cool.
Yeah. Looking at it from a painter's point of view, you can actually see like the first portal. It looks like the purple insulation foam that you can get from Home Depot. And they went in and they actually etched each individual line and went back over, blacked it out, and then actually either sponge painted or actually used a paintbrush, like a stimpling technique to actually stimple all that out to give that good deep texture. But just then the green light coming from the side, and then you have the fog and the smoke coming down. That's got the green light going to saturation. Then the background, you look back, it looks like there's a combination of both wood and stone. It's just amazing. Seeing some of the creativity people have, it's awesome.
And I love that there's like 3 totally different separate lines in this shot. You got the plunderlings up front, you got a Hasbro Drist and a Mythic Legions Malfar, and it just like it works. I mean, I could totally see this as like a kid's cartoon or something, and the plunderlings are the good heroes, and the other 2 are the the super creepy bad guys or something.
Well, that's like it reminded me of like Motu, like where Skeletor would like look through these like things and he could see like He-Man and stuff, but he never saw the transformation. Like he couldn't see that part, but he could see the other stuff. So it kind of reminded me of that, just like spying on them. So yeah, I thought it was cool.
Very cool.
Very, very much so.
And last one.
Spider-Man's
last one.
Everything's Spider-Man's my jam.
We try not to overhype Nate Corona 4, but he just takes so many damn good pictures, and
look at the detail in the background, just the cityscape in the background.
Yep.
Even if it's Photoshop.
Color.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you're looking in the individual windows.
Yeah.
And that the mixed medium of that with her in the foreground with the cat. You have the graffiti on the side, the pink hitting from the one side. It looks like you got some green coming up from the bottom and some blue thrown in there on the top, and then the water tower that's rusted.
Yeah.
So it's just gorgeous.
It just totally captures the feel of the movies, the 2 animated movies, and like you were saying with like the pink and the blue, like how they did that really very intentionally in that the second movie when it was her stuff, the kind of mood ring feel for her.
Yep.
I just think he really captures it. And I love that it's just kind of like a relaxed thing. She's got the drink and the cats coming up and everything. Yeah. So once again, Nate, awesome
Fantastic work.
Awesome shot.
Wow.
Yeah, Nate's okay.
You're just mad because I picked it this week instead of you.
No, I actually did look at this and I almost selected it, but we've been giving him a lot of love. I didn't want him to get too big of a head, but yeah, the colors are really great. I agree. I love watching that film, how the different worlds have like these different artistic vibes to them, and hers is very like kind of mood ringish, like very colorful, and like as emotions change, you can see kind of the hues and stuff change within the scene, and I feel like this really captures that. So yeah, this is really cool. Good job, Nate.
Awesome.
Even though you're not here watching, whenever you see this, just so you know, good job. So, and that's
like
at Corona4 on Instagram, folks.
I'll look him up tonight because that is beautiful.
And that is it for shelf selections.
Okay. Well, it looks like we've got a Big Dub throwing out a request. Natalie requests Sailor Moon Cosmic Legion. Help me not be punished for bringing home the Krang slug.
Natalie, fine. It's done.
I'll be honest, I don't know what Sailor Moon is. Is that like
old anime? Very, very old anime.
Oh, okay.
I have a couple of the assassins in stock, and if that's one you want, so be it.
There you go.
I can do it.
Right.
I have a seamstress that I work with that actually is starting to make some of the smaller clothing for some of my figures. And my daughter loves Sailor Moon. I have an 11-year-old girl that's basically runs the household. And I just kind of rent space here from her. But yeah, she loves Sailor Moon and she actually wants one for herself. So you and my daughter think the same thing.
Cool.
Very cool. Before we jump in and looking at your work and everything, let's get to know you a little bit. Like I said at the beginning, we saw you kind of like come onto the mythic scene back in June or July at Heroes Con. Yep. But clearly you've been doing painting for a while.
I've done box art work for major toy companies, miniature companies. With the NDA, I can't really say, but I've done a Mortarion. I've done all kinds of different stuff for other companies across the pond. Also in Australia, box art for them. I did work for contract work for ILM. I did contract work for Lucas at one point in time. So I've been all over, and like I said earlier, I'm kind of a painting whore. You throw it at me, I will paint it. It doesn't matter what it is. I've been doing stuff Lord of the Print right now, 3D printing. So I've got my own print shop here at my house. And I'm printing out helmets and dragons and anything else I get my hands on just to paint up and take to the conventions. I don't know if you guys have heard of Charles Collectibles show. It's called Charles Collectibles. It's here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Well, I just bought 3 pieces, and it's every Saturday, every Sunday, and it's basically a toy show every Saturday, every Sunday. Dave, one of the guys that hangs out with OG Geek and Jeff and Slap Happy and all those guys. David that never talks on screen. He actually has his booths there as well. He and I are right across from each other.
Okay.
Let's see what else. Believe it or not, pretty much everything back here is almost custom painted.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Godzillas are a bunch of custom painted. Got custom painted over there. I've got custom painted Stormtrooper helmets, motorcycles, cars, you name it, I paint it. So it's not just toys that I'm doing, but I fell in love with Mythics when I saw them at Toylanta. And I bought a couple of them and I thought, let's see what this is all about. I always heard about them, but I was like, I like the Stormtroopers. I did a couple different Stormtroopers. So I actually did, I don't know if you can see it, but I did a couple different Stormtroopers that, you know what? Let me go. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, of course you can see it. But I did a couple different Stormtroopers. These are like the Shadow Trooper.
Okay.
One thing nobody's got caught wind of yet. No one. This actually has a full sculpted head underneath the helmet.
I've seen a couple of those like that, yeah.
Yeah, it has a full sculpted head. Now these you can pop off and rock with, but it's like no one realized the Shadow Trooper Stormtrooper has a full sculpted head, and they're putting that
Yeah,
out.
I
Hey,
noticed that when I got mine. My first one, because I've got like 4 of them now. My first one was like glued on, but I was like, it just seemed like there was a separation there, so I like heated it up and popped it off, and yeah, it's it's completely blacked out, but yeah, there's a full sculpted head underneath.
One thing that I normally do whenever I'm painting a head is I'll actually go through and I'll pull stills and I'll actually print them out, and I'm actually looking at them either on the side or I actually have them hanging, and I'll start blowing it up with a magnifying glass, and I'm looking for the facial imperfections. I'm looking for the little things I can add into it, even on the 15 mil flames of wood. I'm actually painting eyeballs.
Mm.
I'm busting out the magnifying glass and I'm painting eyeballs, and I'm painting like the small detail work and the paint tanks and the paints, scratch painting, buff painting. You name it, I'm doing it. There's so much stuff around me right now to show you guys. Like this is one that I've been putting out and I've been showcasing a little bit. And it's not, you can't really see it real well in the lighting, but this is the second Iron Man / Death Trooper that I'm doing. And how I paint, I'm actually painting each individual segment. So every piece is individually painted, then applied and put back into place. Now I was telling you about the thong. There is his thong. There is his thong. Now you got
Nice,
little
nice whale tail.
Get a little. But you guys, some people have seen. They saw the Tron. This one's pretty much already spoken for. John, one of the guys that he went to PowerCon, and he actually bought me the 2-pack Motu. I sent him the money. He's pretty much, I told him I hold it for him. I'm like, look, man, I know you want this thing. I have no problem holding fakes for you if you want it. I'm glad they gave it to you. So he's like, oh, give me 2 weeks. I'm like, done. It's sold. It's yours. I'll put it away. But
so what got you into like Legions? Like the Cosmic and stuff.
I came across the Cosmic at Toylanta, and I saw him, and I was talking to one of the guys there, and I was looking at Slog, and I saw the green Slog, and I'm like, wow, that looks like that looks like snot. I love it. And I love that. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I want to make it look like it's stretched skin, like it's bruised skin, almost like it's jaundice. Like your skin. Oh, think of like a werewolf when it's pulling its out. The skin's bruised and the muscles are like fibrous and they look raw and irritated.
Right.
So I repainted one for Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that's the one that you see posted up. The Dub just bought today. He bought that one today, and the pictures you see is based on Krang, but / his skin is stretched to the point where his actual skin is purple. So if you turn it all around, the back of his head is purple.
Okay.
Fades to the yellows and the orange and the blue and a little bit of the pinks in the front. So most people don't turn it all the way around to see it. Dub got pictures all the way around. I don't know if he's posted them yet, but and I just love doing that. I love taking the skin and pushing it way beyond what anybody's think it's going to be. Now the next one coming in, Grape Ape from Hanna-Barbera. He's going to straight up be Grape Ape. I already have the colors mixed. All right, well, let me show you guys real quick. My desk is always a mess, but literally, I work with probably 300 to 400 paints every single day. Wow. Every single day. I'm working with multiple paints, and everything back here. I mean, Carnage is repainted, Venom's repainted, I even repainted the Hulk and everything in between. I don't leave anything what you consider standard. Everything gets repainted.
Yeah.
This one is one of the heads from the troll, and I'm actually going to use this as a mount.
Oh, nice.
One of my diorama pieces, this is going to be mounted on the back, like it's one of the mounted head.
Okay.
So that's going to be mounted in the back. But yeah, but to get back to the original point, Mythics caught my eye and Legions caught my eye. Primarily, I've been seeing them for a while, and I was really into the Eagle. So I found one, and I bought it that day. I actually bought one that day. I bought it. I'm like, you know what? I want to pull it apart. I keep hearing pop and swap. So I was able to pull the whole thing apart without heating it up, which was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
And I sanded it all down. I actually take them down to bare plastic. I put them in 99% alcohol, soak them for about 2 hours, and then I put them all back together again. And I see where it's going to rub, and then I grind out. So all the joints
Oh,
on
wow.
my stuff when you're done, when you move it around, it's not going to grind. If it does, I give a 90-day guarantee. So if it starts rubbing on it, send it back and get repainted for free. Because I want my work to stand out. You don't need to see, my big chubby mutts, but if you go through and you see the work, that's what mine want to stand out.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, I'm now becoming very self-aware of my my joints. So the Toyland this year or last year?
This year. Well, I've seen them
Okay.
like the last couple of years floating around, and some people have asked me, "Hey, would you ever do a commission?" I'm like, I'm open to commission on anything. For a long time, and it pains me to say this, guys were sending me the bronies were sending me My Little Ponies, and I was zombifying them. So I was doing a whole, classic monster movie, zombify, green stuff, making them look like Medusa, doing the snake hairs and stuff like
cool.
that. And it was a lot of fun, but my daughter made fun of me. She was like, "Yeah, haha, Daddy's painting ponies." I'm like, "You're son of a but she kind of like, even with my daughter, I taught her how to paint when she was 4. So she got into painting ponies, and now she's getting into glamming out. We'll borrow Barbie, and she'll glam her Barbie out, and she'll do like little tribal eyes and all this fancy stuff. And I'm like, "That's great, honey." She's like, "Yeah, you made me a nerd, Dad. Thanks." Like, great. Every father's dream.
That's funny.
So you said you've done work for a lot of companies and different things. How did you get into painting? Is that something you've always done since childhood, or you stumbled into later?
When I was a kid, my dad used to work for Disney. When my dad got out of the military, he worked for Disney. He actually had a job working in Florida. He did all the murals. He would actually walk around and touch the murals up. And that's a very, very specific paint style. But that was my dad's whole job. And of course, my dad being in the military and he was Italian, so he was a drinker. And he was a good-looking guy, so he screwed the job up. I mean, let's put it that way. And he warded off artwork for everyone. No one. It was like Coco, like no music, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
And I was already talented with it, and I was already like excelling at things that my dad wasn't. So he hated it, and he was like, "No, you need to be a janitor. That's going to be a good job for you." I'm like, "All right, man." But it was my art teacher, Mrs. Long, out of Eastwood High School, in Lucky, Ohio, the middle of nowhere. Bumblefuck, and you got a pretty mouth, kind of a place. He pulled me aside, and she was like, "You can't go in the factory work. You have to do this. You're too talented. You'd have to do this." Now, a little bit about me: I'm dyslexic, so I read upside down and backwards, but I actually see shapes of the words because certain words just look like Klingon. It's just artwork and geometry and color theory came so easy to me. So whenever you see me reading something, you're going to see me read it, and then you're going to see me going backwards reading it because I have to look at it both ways just to get things to flip around right. But anybody who's dyslexic usually is a lot more artistically talented. They're also usually kind of messy and they cuss a lot. So, me, but Mrs. Long really pulled me aside and she put me in the right path, and she got me off of I'm only going to be able to play sports. I'm going to be good at sports. I'm going to go to wrestling. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. My worth is only what the coach tells me what it is. And she was like, "You're worth more than that to us." And she was the one that took me around and said, No. You need to go get art. You need to get under your belt." So I took summer at Pittsburgh Art Academy. I was just, I was in high school and I went there. They invited me. I spent the whole summer there. I loved it, but did not have enough money for it. So I went in the Navy and went from there. Got out of the Navy and I got recruited by a couple of different companies. One, Arvel. I can't really go too much into Arvel's issues because they are, last thing I want to do is get a call from Mickey. "You screwed up, didn't you?" I'm like, "No shit." Sniper round. But I got recruited by multiple companies, and then I kind of felt, and there's my dog. I kind of felt, of course, wouldn't happen. I fell out of art for quite a while.
Yeah.
And Mabel, shut up. When it finally got to the point where I was like, I've got to be creative again. I've got to do something. Well, I started with Warhammer. and I started painting Warhammer, and I was doing 5 to 6 hours a day of painting while I was owning my own landscape company. So I was still creating things outside of this, because hardscape and pondscape are some of my favorite things in the world to do. Just the cultivation and the creation of taking something that's nothing and making it look like it's, was naturally there already is something I loved. But I got into like painting Warhammer, and at first I was blotchy and sloppy, and my paint wasn't consistent. And there was a guy named Matthew Rickwood, and rest his soul, he committed suicide a couple months back. But he was kind of a mentor, and Matthew Rickwood was probably one of the best painters that Games Workshop passed on. They offered him a job as a heavy metal painter and a heavy metal painter going to London, and he passed on it saying, I can't live on $15 an hour in London. But he was by far one of the best influences outside of Mrs. Long in my life. And I can't praise the guy enough. But he couldn't beat his demons, and they got the best of him. But they kind of both jockeyed me and pushed me and kind of nudged me. And I finally got to the point where I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do it all the time. I'm gonna go all in, and I went all in, and literally multiple paint competitions, multiple wins. Started requesting, hey, can I paint something for one of these companies? Can I paint something for you guys? I'll do it for free. I just want to see if I can do it. And one of them took me up on it. And $12,000 later, I was like, oh crap, I can make money on this? So I did multiple box arts, multiple companies. And then after that, and one thing I cannot emphasize enough with painters, have the confidence to screw up. Have the confidence to make a mistake. Don't think that just because you made the mistake that you can't make it look like it was supposed to be there. I don't know how many times I've won a paint competition where I'm like, yeah, y'all know that big blue stripe in there? That's not supposed to be there. Mentioned something else, and I went, whoop, and I was like, oh crap. How do I blend this in? And now it's one of my signatures. Every piece of artwork I have has a little blue stripe in it somewhere. You have to go find it. I do it now as a thumbprint, as actually a thumbprint, because I've had people try to steal my work before. I did a commission for a Eldar army, and it was right at demon level, right at the golden demon level. It took me a year and a half to paint it, and it was like 30,000 points. So it's a massive Eldar army, tanks, everything. Wow. And guy paid me really well for it, but he claimed it was his work. And I had to step up and say, look, I don't want to be a jerk, man, but you're winning paint competitions with this thing, and you didn't touch it. You don't even know purple from red. And the running theory with painters, especially in that area, is I'm painting with crayons. My paint's so thick, and I'm just rubbing crayons on it. And I challenged him. I'm like, hey, let's sit down and have a paint off. You buy a model, I'll buy a model. We'll sit for the next 8 hours. None of us move, and you paint yours, I'll paint mine. We'll see where we're at when we're done. It does not have to be finished, but we'll see where we're at. And when I was done, mine was almost finished. I had maybe some extra highlights here or there. He got up, threw his model near the wall, told me off, and walked out and never came back to that store again. And I was like, okay. But he still claims it's his army. He still claims it's his. And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm not even going to worry about it anymore. You want that?
Wow.
Have it. If that's what makes you happy in the morning, bygones. So,
Yikes.
It happens. In that world, in the actual miniature world, tabletop miniature world, it happens all the time. It's extremely toxic. That entire genre is extremely toxic. From Flames of War, if you have one color off, you can't play that army. It's not legit. You can't play it. You're disqualified, and they will at a tournament. They'll disqualify you.
Wow.
You have no right to keep that army any other way but their way.
That's cutthroat.
Yeah, same with Napoleonics. If you play Napoleonics like Perry Brothers, you can't paint it outside of what Napoleon. So if you don't, I want Napoleon with pink armor or pink, pastels and blue, and just to throw it off and have some fun, they won't even let you get out of the bag. So
wow.
Yeah, and I mean it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's very relaxing to paint that stuff. But after you do it for almost 20 years, you're like, okay, you guys are just. Some of you are some of the best people in the world, like Lynn Stahl, Michelle Barnsworth, Alexi, Banshee. These are some of the best painters in all over the world. But even they are like, I'd rather teach the class than go to these competitions and deal with these people.
Right.
Just,
Okay.
you almost become cynical. Like, hey, I love you guys, so do you love me? But you guys are nuts.
Well, and that's something that I know Jesse and I really fell in love with the Legions community, because it's not like that. Like, it is very, everybody's helpful and sharing recipes and
I love that.
and just praising each other's artwork and stuff. So, I mean, obviously I've seen your work within the Cosmic Cabal, Mythic Legion Cabal. Can you just kind of talk about what your experience has been so far with that part of it?
It's been fantastic. It really has. It's been fantastic. It really, I mean, I have felt more warmth and more camaraderie with these guys than I have with any other company I've ever visited. And all over the world, from Japan to East Asia to the European markets. It's just nice to see these people that are so passionate about what they do and what they love. And like I was at Toyland or Joanna a couple weeks back, and I picked the figure up. I took one with me, and I got it from Walter. Walter sent me some figures, and Walter's like, "Hey man, don't give up. I want you to keep going to this." I'm like, "Dude, you don't know me very well. I don't give up on crap." So while I was there, and this is only like maybe a 2-hour paint job for me right now, but I went ahead and I actually started to paint on a Crimson Knight.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And so it's going to be black and it's going to be crimson, and I'm actually doing a French what a feud de leaf. I think that's what they call it. I can't remember.
Oh, whoops!
And I'm going to be doing it with sponge paint. So I'm going to be doing the whole thing where I'm going to go in. And one thing that you guys might want to start looking at, liquid mask. You can actually liquidly paint this on your figure, paint everything around, and then it basically peels off and it does not tear your paint.
Oh, wow.
It does not mess your paint up, and it's called liquid mask. And that way you guys get a good look at the name of it.
Cool.
Some of the best stuff you can deal with, and I've had this bottle for like 3 years. I mean, I just keep adding to it. I'll buy another bottle and I add a little more. Buy a little bottle, add a little more. But I did one. I don't know if you guys saw it. I did one where I actually put ghost glyphs into it, and everyone's like, "How did you do that?" Well, that wasn't liquid mask. That was Games Workshop hard coat. I actually hand detailed with a hypodermic needle, like one of the needle heads, because you can actually buy the needles from like Amazon. You break the bottom off, and you actually take the needle and you dip it in, and you actually paint with the needle. So you literally have to just tap and drag. Very, very slight, very, very. It's almost like doing when you do motorcycles. And I'm actually doing flames on motorcycles and I'm airbrushing. I actually do the flames where I'm actually masking the flames off by hand. And I'm taking a razor blade and going back in, and I'm actually taking out the excess so I can actually do that. Then I'm using a stencil going in and hitting out to make the flame look like multi-layer. But I'm gonna start doing that on some of the bigger stuff that I'm gonna be doing. Like the next slog I have is gonna be Grape Ape from Hanna-Barbera. It's gonna be all purples. I'm leaving the orange because I'm actually gonna add some color to the orange. I really like that orange that they did. It really pops. But I think that orange and the purple is really gonna stand out really well with each other. And I want to make it look slimy. As basically it's a rotten grape. And it's just a rotten grape gonna ooze. And I'm gonna have the purple coming down over the top like he's oozing, which is I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome.
Before we start pulling up pictures, we talked about getting into Warhammer and working with some of these other companies and properties and stuff, and then of course Mythic Legions and Cosmic. What was kind of being in the military? Did you have any like favorite toys or things you were into as a kid that you kind of like kicked off some of this stuff? Like,
I used to cell shade Transformers. I would pull up pictures of the Transformers and I would mimic the cell shading from certain angles and certain things. Freaked my dad out. My dad was like, "I just bought that from him." I know, but it looks good. I don't want to on a shelf. But cell shading. One of my favorite kind of styles of painting is the old classic 1980s cell shading on Transformers. I always loved the way it looked. It always to me had the feel of realism, although it was completely cartoony. But it had to feel like you almost felt like the metal was moving, like it had undulation and motion. And I'm going to do that, or I'm going to try to do that with the science officer. I'm going to try to paint that with cell shading coming from the right to the left on the figure, and kind of go about a way of making it look black and white, like you're looking into a 1920s black and white film. So I'm really go head over heels with that. And I have a diorama that we're actually, me and because I've got 2 3D artists that work for me, one in Barcelona, Spain, one here in Georgia. And we're actually designing book backers. So it's a book that it looks like a 14th century book for the Mythic Legion guys. And open it up. On one side, there's going to be like a dragon that can actually pop out. You can pull it in. Or there's going to be like a vampiric scene or like a woodland scene in the background. But it's going to be about 10 to 12 inches tall, and it's going to be about 15, 16 inches wide. So you can actually put it in the back of your stuff, like, in the back of yours, like all the guys you have in the background. You can actually put them back behind there, and it's actually going to give the depth of character as it goes back.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be this really nice scene, and we've been designing it for like almost a year. Originally, it was supposed to be, because I've been trying to put my own toy line out, my own action figures, and I've got sketches and drawings, 3-dimensional systems of my own stuff that I want to put out. And it's taken forever because just the tool cutting is like $34,000 just for 2 guys. And that's even if you're going through Singapore or Thailand. So it's expensive to get the tools cut. Which I don't know if you guys know how those are made. It's a system with a hot point injection that comes down and actually injects the plastic into it. It's the same way Games Workshop does their stuff with Gundam or any kind of model kit. It's a 2-part tool that's clamshells together. And then after about 15 seconds, it opens up, you dump it out, and you start over again. You usually use the air hose and blows it out. Well, we're doing the same thing, but we're looking more along the lines of like Joy Toy style. A little bit bigger, about 7 inches tall, a little bit lighter shipping, but something that we're going to have one that you can paint. We're going to have one that's painted, and then we're going to have one that's a mystery box of all the same character.
Okay.
And that's our format. But me and my business partner Nick, it's been 6 years long of us R&Ding the crap out of this stuff, because originally the company was actually going to be called Trained Assassin Games, and we had the copyright on the logo. And once Moon Knight came out, we lost the copyright because obviously Disney's bigger than we are, Marvel's bigger than we are. They went after us tooth and nail. Like, you can't have this, you can't have him with the knives, you can't have this and this and this. And Trained Assassin sounds too aggressive, and they just shot us to crap.
Wow.
And it was like cease and desist letter, lawsuit letter. I think I've got like a stack of 50 lawsuit letters from DC.
Oh my gosh.
Marvel and everybody just constantly hammering me. Once my lawyer would say something, bam, we're going to come at you with this. Once my lawyer, would counter this, bam, they're going to come at you with this. So they did not want us in. They don't want us in the market at all. They do not want us in the market. Some of the work that we have, some of the guys have seen it. That's on my phone. I have some of the ZBrush rendering that we have on the phone. If you get a chance on LinkedIn or even on Facebook, Ricardo Diaz is the guy he's my 3D artist. He's come out with his own bobbleheads. So he's got his own bobblehead line with NTFs coming out. They're the 1950s. They're Werewolf, Wolfman, Cthulhu, and the Mummy. He's got a whole nother line coming out as well, but they're freaking awesome. They're cartoony looking, but they're awesome. But he works with me. He does contract work with me. Alex, another guy that works here in Georgia, works with me. We're coming out with Mythic Legion heads. We're actually coming out with the actual heads from the side of the box. So we're going to do it just off enough where we're not going to get in trouble, but we want to do an homage because these guys, the Four Horsemen, they were some of my idols when they were at Hasbro. And when they walked away, I was actually just doing little bits here or there with some of the Black Series stuff when it first came on. And I was just kind of jumping in with Hasbro and trying to help out. I was basically a glorified gopher. Anything that they wanted me to do, I would do. I didn't care. You want me to sweep the floor? I'll do it. You want me to help out? I'll do it. You want me to do this? I'll do it. I don't care. Just let me get my foot in the door. I did not care. But they were there, and they were actually on the way out doing their own thing. And we never passed. We never saw each other. We never met. But seeing Jim now, I actually met him at HeroesCon, and I got to talk to him, and he got to see when I dropped off the troll to Ish. And he was like, well, when did you paint that? I'm like, today. You painted this today? I'm like, yeah, I bought it yesterday from Ish. I painted the head, brought back to Ish, and it's just like, this is fantastic. When did you do this? I'm like, this morning. right when I got here. I'm done with it right this morning. And Jim was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then to give you guys some heads up on what's going on with me, I had to leave. And I have no problem saying this now because I've actually come to terms with it. I had to leave GalaxyCon early, primarily due to I found I have cancer. I got melanoma, and I've got a thing with my lymph node, and it hit me kind of hard, it hit me kind of sideways. So I left Thursday night early, and it kind of looked like a douchebag move on me, and I didn't want it to be that way because I didn't want any of the Mythic guys to be upset with me. So I was going to do tutorials. I was going to be like, "Hey, come sit with me. I'm going to give this stuff away for free. With me, let's work on this stuff with airbrush," because my entire unit was with me. I had multiple guys for other people to work on if they didn't have their own, but it just hit me sideways. I was like, I gotta go, and I drove 7 hours home. And talked to the doctor the next morning, and he was like, "Yeah," because he called me Thursday night. So I need you to see you Friday, and I'm like, "Oh, can I wait till Monday?" He's like, "No, I need to see you Friday." And I'm like, "Come on, man! I just spent like almost $2,200 to get up here and all this thing. I'll see you tomorrow." And I was like, "Well, okay, that's bad." Get there, and lo and behold, bam!
Wow.
Now everybody knows that I didn't leave GalaxyCon trying to be a spoiled douchebag, because I got comments on that. Not from any of the Mythic guys, but from other people that were there, like, "Oh man, you look, and it wasn't any of the issues guys. It was some of the other people that met me there and that friended me there on Facebook. And they're like, "Well, why'd you leave? Why are you being a bitch?" I'm like, "Just trust me, you don't want to know. You just let me do my thing, kind of stuff." But I'm okay with it. I'm good with it, and I'm stupidly overly positive about stuff. So it's like, hey, kind of a thing. And even like some of my friends that I told recently, they're like, "Oh, dude, I'm pushing my prayers." I'm like, "I appreciate that, but I have the Napoleon complex. You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it. This is going to happen." So, but yeah, that's kind of where that's at.
Okay.
Well, thanks for sharing that, and obviously, our thoughts and prayers will be with you, and hope that everything works out for you. It sounds like you got a pretty positive diagnosis, so hopefully everything works out well.
Yeah, they caught it really, really early, so that's actually good for me.
Yeah,
but and even if they didn't, the way I would look at it is, I'm going to paint till the day I die. You're literally going to have to pry the paintbrush out of my hands. I'm going to don't get this away from me. I'm taking it with me. Kind of the way I am. But yeah, it's just it's one of my passions. It's just seeing the color and how it blends and what we can do with it.
Yeah.
Well, as of right now, are you planning on making it to Legion's Con this year?
I want to make it to Legion's Con. I'm trying to make it there. I know there's a couple things that the first rounds of things I got to go through first. If I can find somebody who has a room, I'll gladly pay. I don't care if I'm sleeping on the floor. I don't care if I'm sleeping in my car. Just give me a parking spot. I want to be there with some of the stuff that I'm working on, because I've got some extra stuff that I haven't shown anybody yet. I've got some. I showed you guys earlier, but I have got some of the bat cycles that I'm turning into. Some of the Tron cycles. I also have one of the bat cycles I'm turning into the Ghost Rider cycle. I'm turning in one of the Mythic Legions into Ghost Rider. I already have a green stuff inflamed and sculpt. So it's going to be a full-on Mythic Legion Ghost Rider. And it's going to be up for sale. There's a couple. I've got a couple of I can't remember the name of them to save my life. The insects from
Spectians.
I'm turning them into Braveheart, and I'm literally going to be either painting the tarpon in. I'm going to the Irish tarpons in, or the Irish kilton, or have them made, but the actual face is going to go skin tone, and I'm actually painting the actual Braveheart ideology and the markings and whatnot into it. I'm doing the same thing with a couple of the Roman legionnaires. So I'm doing very almost like a gladiator-ish kind of format to it.
Okay.
Kind of put them together where they're like, and there's going to be a little sign in the middle. What do you mean steroids? What do you mean steroids? So, but I want to get there. I'd love to be there. I was just told by Big Dub tonight. He was like, "Man, you need to be there." I'm like, "Y'all going to pay my bills? You guys going to drive it up there, man?" But yeah, I mean, and whatever I sell from between now and then is actually going to go towards that and my own brick and mortar store. So I can actually get people, because one thing I want to do, especially for younger kids, get them in a store, let them loiter, but I want them to be able to rent an airbrush from me that day.
Mm-hmm.
Sit and rent your space, airbrush. If you don't have paints, I'll give you the paints. If you don't have a wet palette, I will provide a wet palette. If you don't have paintbrushes, I will loan you paintbrushes for the day. I want you in the store. I want you off the streets, and I want you to get away from stupid stuff that might get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Whatever you identify as, I don't care. Get your butt in my store and hang out.
That's awesome.
And loiter. So,
well, like Curtis said, we hope everything goes well for you with everything you got going on with that, and that you do make it to Legion's Con, because it's as fun as other shows like PowerCon and different things are. Legion's Con is great because like everybody's there just for that. I mean,
yeah,
I think AWOC's going to be there, the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, some other smaller independent toy lines. There's usually like a whole like Glios alley of people and different things there as well. But like the main focus is Mythic and Cosmic Legions, and it's for those in the cabal, they've heard it a dozen times now. Legions Con has become part art show, part toy show, part family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And
I put that exact statement said that exact way.
Yeah, it's like I went the first time 2 years ago, not really knowing what Mythic Legions was. Like I had 2 figures, I hadn't pulled anything apart yet. And last year I was there with a table selling stuff, and Curtis was there helping with he's been painting stuff for Wolf King. I don't know why I'm talking for you, Curtis, but he was there helping out with some of his stuff at the table. So it's just really cool how people can just jump right in, whether you just do the pop and swaps or if you're painting, building dios, like Dusty with the coloring book that they just they had some at PowerCon and stuff.
I got to see pictures of that. That was fantastic. Fantastic. I love that.
I mean, I've obviously you haven't been in this arena for Legions very long, but the stuff that you've put out so far has been fire, and I especially love the sentries. Like hold on, I got a question from Dorklayer real quick. You guys run another pop and swap session this year. I don't know what it's going to look like. To be honest, Bill, I know that Jeremy was very interested in doing something like that, but we don't even know what those sessions look like. I think it's going to be completely different this year from last year. Last year they had like the 3 going at the same time. I think it's going to be set up differently than that. But I would imagine there's going to be something like that this year. I just don't know what it's going to look like. So, but Scott, what I was saying is like, I really love the repaints of the sentries that you did there, that you showed off. Like, to me, like that's the best figure that's come out this year. And I know that it doesn't get all the love that it should because of, the solid paint scheme, but the sculpt of that thing is so amazing. And so seeing your work on that has been terrific.
It's the actual sculpt of the sentries is, to me, bar none, better than anything I've seen.
Yeah.
They're blowing McFarlane out of the water, especially with their sculpt work.
See, like if this was, and obviously I know the price point would be different if we got something painted like this, it would not be $25.
No.
But I think if people got this, there would be a lot more hype for the sentries than what we see now. And it's just, I mean, your work on this is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but the sculpt details are so good, and it's like as you paint them, you realize, oh shit, they did this, and oh wow, I didn't know that was there, and And
I love on the neck, when you pop the head off, the neck actually has sculpting on the front, on the sides, all the way up into the collar and up the ear area, and you don't really get to see it a whole lot, but it's just this beautiful, almost like the suit, like the second skin suit that you're talking about. And I love to do it because it just throws off just enough that color to draw the eye into the extra, because the eye's already, the eye itself is going to draw your eyes into it. But you have the red and then you have the gold, and it slowly, it creeps in, and then it's like, boom, you're there. And you're completely immersed into the figure. And that's the crimson. And that's the one. I'm actually at Joe Lana when I'm painting that, and I'm literally airbrushing as I'm working on it. because the airbrush unit I have is a small little nano system for Iwata. I can basically go anywhere and paint that.
That's crazy. I mean, the amount of work that goes into those details, I truly appreciate the amount of time that you put into that. But the finished product looks so good.
Now you see this one here. You see the gray? That is the gray that comes out of the box.
Yeah.
I just painted around it. I wanted to use the gray that they gave us as an accent point and saying, hey, look, you don't have to paint every single piece of it. If you just got some of the highlight points and just kind of make it pop, it just that simple paint job is something that I look at it going, I painted it, but it's still, I was like, wow, that's super clean and pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a plethora of these centuries, and that's kind of my ideas. I want to try to keep as much of the original paint job as possible, but add some details in there just to kind of differentiate a little bit and make them special. So I really like this one. The fact that you did leave, some of that original paintwork in there.
And there's the way that when they sculpted it and they sculpted the centuries, they actually sculpted them so they can actually do the broad chest. Like I'm a broad chest, and you can actually ratchet the back back a little bit to give him that broad chest, kind of like, I'm a century. You're gonna mess around and find out kind of thing. And you can literally put them in a very traditional comic book heroic pose.
Yeah,
and that's what we're doing. That is a classic comic book heroic pose.
This one right here is so good. The different blues that you used are like electric. Like
that's green.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the camera doesn't catch it real well, but it's actually subtle. It's like a mint green and blue.
Gotcha.
And those two, when you put them against each other, they can blend in until you get close enough to really see it. Then you're like, oh wow. And it gives it that, like, that's why we went with Tron. Is one of the first things I ever really got to do in the movie industry was work with light cloth. And that was what Tron had. That all that stuff is actually light cloth. That's not CGI. That's practical effects on the actual characters and the actors.
Yeah.
So that's the clothing that you see, the big lighting, that's all light cloth. And I actually put it into a lot of the custom work that I do for the Star Wars, when I do Star Wars ships, because I actually LED Star. That's actually the blue troll. It started off blue, and I turned it into this in less than a day.
Wow.
But a lot of the Star Wars ships that I do, I actually LED, and I'll do the fiber optic LED packages on them, and then I'll movie grade paint them. So you might get one of those cheap, $60 ships. By the time I'm done, it looks like it came right off the set.
Yeah.
That's the one Chris got.
This one?
Yep. And I actually went in and I repainted the entire face. I actually added all of the actual beard in. So that's actually one brush, one stroke at a time, adding that in, and then going back in with like a lighter color brown, and then a lighter color brown, and then making sure you hit the highlight points, like the upper cheekbone area and right on top of the chin, just on the top of the lip, just gonna make it stand out a little bit. And then adding the pink to the scars to make them stand out as if they were already started, they were healed, but you actually have that wounded skin where it's still kind of pink. And we even redid the eyes, and we went back through and glazed the eyes, and that's actually done with a it's not a single hair brush, but it's like maybe 7 hairs, and it's just a tap, drag, tap, drag, tap, drag on the iris, because the iris is actually painted on that
guy. I love the alternating red and black, very Harley Quinn-ish or
Empire,
like a jester. Yeah.
40 Warhammer Fantasy, they did a lot of that, where the Empire would do the multiple different layers, with a black arm, black leg, red,
yeah,
kind of a thing. And I love doing that. I also love doing the fire for the Phoenix plume.
Was that on here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Phoenix plume. I actually, they're kind of like that.
Oh, is that?
I think we lost your audio there for a second, but I think you're back now.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can now.
Yeah, I corrected. It came out grainy, but I corrected it, course corrected with my my style when I actually went in and started doing the king. And I actually took the gold armor, and instead of doing all the different paint jobs on the gold armor, because their gold armor is like the way they do their gold for that is beautiful. You don't really have to do a lot because you can see right there the way it photographs, it gives that metallic look and that like soft, warm gold look. And then going back in, if you get a good shot at the centerpiece, I actually turned them into rubies. So
wow.
running down the center, I turned them into rubies. So they actually have that nice little ruby look to it. And then painted all of that. We actually did a Lion-O. It's basically pulled from the Thundercats because I was actually watching old school Thundercats that day. So it's kind of cool. So we actually did that and went in, and it's like, so everything came about as this regal crimsonish gold armor, and then the red and the yellow and the little bit of the purple, because it started off as purple. So all the lion mane and everything started off as a very dark purple, and then you slowly build up the reds and the yellows and the whites from there.
Cool.
That's great.
Thank you.
Speaking of purple.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
This was one of my favorite ones to work on because I figured, okay, this is a vampire. He's probably someone of royalty at one point in time. There's the starting where he comes out of the box and laid it all out so everybody could see, hey, this is what he started out as. But I wanted to see this beautiful purple pop. And I actually used what they call electric purple pop on it.
All right.
Okay.
I even did the purple in the eyes. I darkened the eyes up underneath the eyes, just a little bit darker because the original paintwork is fantastic on the head, and I did a little bit of blue in here just to kind of give it a cold one kind of a look. But that one, the king, and another one all went to. I don't know if you ever got a chance to come to Atlanta. There's a toy store that I hang out called Second Chance Toys. Chance and Dad are fantastic. They're awesome, and he bought all those from me. I usually show it to him before I show it to anybody else, and he's like, "That's mine. That's mine." Yeah, let somebody else buy them. But yeah, this is one of the first ones I got when I came back from Toylanta. I bought this one, and I really wanted to do just a straight up, almost heretic kind of looking character, and the reds, the blacks, and the metallic turbo dork blue. Now, the difference in my turbo is I actually add chromium, little bits of metal. So I'll actually take a little powder and I'll add it to my mixes just to give it a bit of an oomph, because a lot of metallics don't show up real well on camera.
This red and blue and black, I love this color theme. I am not trying to insult any artwork here, but it reminds me there was a certain like faction or kingdom of like Legos as a kid that had red and blue and black, and I loved them. So seeing this, the colors on this are like that really matte kind of matte flat black with the pop of the red and
I pulled this color scheme from a Bionicle.
Okay.
I actually pulled. I love the color scheme. There was a Bionicle that had a very similar, but it was a royal blue, an electric royal blue, and it was just a normal royal blue. And I love the color, and I love the way they did that. So I actually pulled from that, and I was like, this would be really cool. And I always loved the way it looked. Now I don't know if there's a picture in there where I show you the ghost glyphs. Where actually, yeah, there it is. I went in and I actually,
that's cool.
And I hand painted ghost glyphs. Now it's done with the tip of a hypodermic needle, and you load the needle with the actual. That's actually Games Workshop hard coat, and it's painted by literally taking the needle, slowly dragging it across the skin of the model just to lay that in place. That's why it gets so crisp and clean. Big dub. I have some words.
Well, I'm going to drop this out for a quick second here. Stephanie's got a question. How much do you adore the bronze patina paint on the Demistros, and what would you change or add as a creative? Have you seen that in person yet?
I have not seen it in person, but I've seen some pictures of it, and it's gorgeous. The only thing I would do different is add some patina. Add some of the green patina with the bronze. Make it look like it's 1,000 years old. Like, you ever see the tin roofs that look like that green and a little bit of the hazy browns in there? That's the only thing I would do different. I would leave all the rest of it alone, but I would just go in on the joints and areas where, maybe there's going to be sloshing out of the face, or maybe there's going to be, water hitting certain areas, especially from the top down. And I would actually add patina. This is the green patina.
Mine's on the other side of my room. I can't get to it quick, but it in person, like, it's got a lot more of that green, that weathered patina look to it in person than the original photographs. Not dissing you, Trevor. It was a lot more patina than I was expecting from the shots, and I really like that look of it.
There is a way for you to actually add living rust to that. You actually you use a chromium, like a powder with a chromium mix. You add to it, and then you spray it with apple cider vinegar or the spray water. Let it sit for a couple of days in a very humid area. It will literally start to rust the metal. Then you hit it with a flat coat or some kind of like Mr. Hobby flat coat. It kills the rust, but it actually leaves that big, bulky, kind of gritty kind of look to it. And it's just a way to make your models and your figs way over top. And that's what I'm talking about, the patina work. I do that. Then I would go back in with my patina on top of that and just make it look like just really just rancid. Like it's just old. But that's what I would.
Big Dub says he'll bring one up on a weekend to show you.
Oh, cool.
Because they won't be available. They'll be available eventually. I think sometime next year. They said the standard version without the green translucent head and hands. So you'll be able to get your hands on one of those.
I tried to get one. I tried, a couple guys I knew were going to PowerCon. I'm like, hey, can someone grab one for me? I'm just happy I got the 2-pack Motu. I'm happy I got that, and that should be here Tuesday or Wednesday. And I'm gonna look at that and see what I can do with it. But I saw the mini faces. I was like, that was my favorite. That was my favorite one. That was it. But I'm waiting for that one to come in. I've got a guy that's gonna send me one.
Okay.
I did a trade with him. I actually sent him. I did play arts. I did some concept stuff a long time ago for play arts. And actually, Big Dub just saw one of them today. He actually saw the play arts Stormtrooper that I actually repainted, and I redid it for a shock trooper. And I redid this whole shock trooper, and I did a 501st, and I did one for Ahsoka. I actually painted the glyph work on for Ahsoka, and I did all that for play art. They never actually bought any of the schematics or the color cards for me, but it was still cool that they even asked me to help do anything. That was the biggest honor for me. Like, dude, you guys actually want me to do this? And you're gonna give me and you're gonna pay me? Dude. Yeah. You name it, I'll do it.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Oh, I'm clicking on pics and I realize I don't have them up here.
No, you don't. I was like, maybe Jesse's just trying to find one that he really likes, but yeah.
That is going to Diamond Dave, the YouTuber.
Okay.
That's actually going to Diamond Dave. That is one of the ones that I didn't print it. I actually bought it from somebody on Etsy, and it came. I was supposed to be a 1/6 scale statuette, and it came, and it was, instead of being 1/6 scale, it was literally 5 inches tall, maybe 6 inches tall. So
wow.
I got duped hardcore, and then going back on the guy on Etsy, he's just gone. The 3D printer is gone, but. That's when it's going to Diamond Dave. We're redoing that, and like we're doing the skin tones where we're actually sponge painting. So like makeup brushes, like the makeup sponges that your girlfriends and wives get, we're sponge painting this whole thing to make it look gritty. So it looks gritty and it looks like he's in the actual sewer. But this is, I think this is like 30 minutes in. So it's about 30 minutes in, maybe 40 minutes. Because the stonework is really easy to do, especially if you're stimpling. And if anybody ever wants, I don't get paid by these guys. I don't get paid by Artist Opus or anybody else or Ninjon, which are some of the greatest. If you go look up some really good painters, Ninjon does awesome work when it comes to YouTube stuff. But Artist Opus has an entire line of dry brushes. And most people, when they dry brush, they think it has to be completely dry. Well, that's your sponge. That's your sponge right there.
Okay.
Your actual brush has to be mildly wet. That way you don't get that grainy, like real heavy grainy. And if it's super grainy, then your brush is too dry. And then you have to go back and either start over or over brush and try to get the grain out of there. Unless you're trying to go for that, like you're rusting and stuff like that. But These guys here, I think it's like $130 for the full set, but you also get, and don't ever use a dry brush with paper towels. They actually make a template. It's just MDF board, and it's just multiple, like, different cuts and scrapes and stuff on MDF board. Take your paint, put it on that board, rub it into the brush, and then dry it off, knock it off on the brush, and then here, this portion of your hand, knock it off on there. And
that's what I do all the time.
It's the point where it still feels slightly cold, but you're not knocking off a ton of paint. You're ready to put it onto the model.
Yeah, by the time I get done, whenever I'm dry brushing and stuff, when I get done with a figure, my back of my hand is completely covered.
I am covered. And my daughter makes fun of me. She's like, "Daddy, you're supposed to be painting the model, not your hand." And it's like, "Thank you, sweetheart. I didn't know that."
This is really neat. I like the colors on this one.
Now, this one, we actually changed out the legs, so it's actually taller. So it's not the squat guy. It's actually the taller one. And we pulled all the tattooing on him is from what my favorite video game of all time is Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. That is my all-time favorite video game because I love that lore. I want them to make a movie. But that's all the glyph work from the game. That's literally one for one glyph work I pulled from the game.
Very cool.
And that entire figure is stippled. There is no, except for like the teeth and the eyes and then the nose. That figure on the skin tone is all stipple work. And then we went back in with like a sponge and a little bit of clown makeup just to hit the highlight points, and then we sealed it.
Oh wow! Let's see.
So yeah, and Chance got this one as well. So Big Dog, you can go after Chance like there's no tomorrow, because that boy he is literally snaking people out of stuff.
There you go. Yeah, you're gonna have to stockpile some stuff and bring it to Legion's Con next year.
That's what I'm trying. I'm actually, that's one I have right now at my booth. That's actually one of the new Clone Trooper helmets that we redid for Rex. There's the one we did for. We actually have Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine helmets that we actually did. Cool. Hey guys, thanks for your service. Maybe an old Navy dog. It's like, hey, thank you for your service. Yeah, that's my displays. I'm a hot toy addict. I am not. I am a hot toy addict. I have those. I've also got Grogu and Mando. I've got another Stormtrooper. At Toylanta, there was Joe Lana, the guy selling his hot toys for $100 a pop. Like $100.
Wow.
Bought 3 Spider-Mans while I was there, and I'm like, these are mine. And I freaked out. I was like, oh! I literally screamed like a little girl. I was like, oh, these are mine. And that's the new scope. That's what's his name?
Gorgo.
And I love the way Gorgo was designed, but the customer was like, look, I want a one of only one time. I don't want you to paint another one like it, and I'll pay you for that. I was like, done. So I painted Gorgo. He actually gave me Attila for the commission. I was like, hey, I don't want you to pay me for it. Just give me this figure because I want to put this figure. That's the other one I did with the Lion-O. But I wanted to do something where his face looked like it was actually on fire, where it looked like he's so evil that everything's coming out of him.
The way you did that shield is great. Like that red feels like so raw and aggravated.
Yeah, like an open wound, right? Literally like an open raw wound.
Oh, these guys are cool. You got to pull up the dwarves.
Well, the one in Queen, that's the one Kent Poole got. That's the one where he said, that's smoking hot. That's the one I give away when I go to conventions. I always have one at a convention. Okay. Don't ever tell anybody, what it is. But I tell people, hey, if you see me at a convention and you yell out, hey, that's smoking hot, you get the mythic, custom mythic.
Wow.
And I did another one just like this, and it's actually going to What's Poppin' or Seth. It's actually being shipped to him. That's actually a Diamond Select that we redid the hand paint work on that.
Okay.
And we taped off some stuff, and we actually did the final highlights with just a little bit of an airbrush work, just at direct angles. But she was originally the red and yellow. And You're into this, and I also did the White Sox because I kind of thought this character alone is supposed to be one of the most beautiful women in West Coast Avengers. So I wanted to kind of get that whole super, super sexy. I will kick your ass if you get out of line kind of look.
And
So we went that way with her.
I really like the colors in that costume. That it's like the white. It kind of gives off like a Nightcrawler vibe.
Yes.
The way the white with the red trim, but with the way it works with the blue and the black and everything is really cool.
Funny thing is, that's not even white. That's ice blue.
Oh wow. Okay.
Have you guys ever gone into Home Depot or Lowe's and you see these really bright white like flowers? That's actually called optic white. And optic white has ice blue in it to make it pop.
Okay.
And the statue you just scrolled across, that's actually my statue.
This one?
Nope, that's actually Lord of the Print. That's one we did for
okay.
The Venom Terminator statue. That's actually one I helped design. That right there.
Oh wow.
And that is a 3D print, and that is massive. It is a big boy. Those are actually going up for sale. It's 400 unpainted, 800 completely painted. But I also have some stuff in there where I did the prototype where it's actually buffed metal. So when you look at it, it actually looks like buffed chrome when I'm done painting it.
Oh wow. That's kind of terrifying. The Venom and the Terminator combining.
Unfortunately, I got a lot of flack for that. I don't know why. People were screaming at me about it. They're like, Venom would never attach to Terminator. I'm like, Venom wouldn't attach to Iron Man either. It wouldn't attach to you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally doing like Venomverse comics where he bonds with every single character. So.
Everybody.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Was this the one you were?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I'm holding up. We actually painted it. I turned it into what I'm calling Phoenix Squadron. And
nice.
I painted it, and that is actually my proprietary color. It's called Greg Cook Blood Red. And I did some stuff for Greg Cook. And I don't know if you guys have seen the helmet I did for the Mando helmet I did for him. I did a Mando helmet for Greg. I did a couple of them now for Greg.
Wait a minute. Go up one. Right there. I want to see that.
That's all the that one.
This?
No, next to it, the left.
Yep.
I just want to see the close up of the
That's all the glyph work that I went in, and it's actually 6 shades of purple. It starts off with a black liner, and then I'm going back in with extra fine, like 00, 000 brushes to go in and actually hit the highlight points.
Wow. Same thing on the face.
Yep, same thing on the face, and even the teeth.
Wow, that's cool.
Thank you. I loved painting that one. That one was like a passion project. I actually didn't want to sell it, but Chance was like, "I'm going to offer you this." I'm like, "Well, I'm not dumb." This is one I'm redoing. It came to me busted. The arms were broken off, and one of the legs was broken off. And with Sideshow Collectibles, I have a way of putting them back together and making it look seamless. A lot of epoxy, a lot of green stuff, a lot of buff out work, and then milliput, and then go back over top and really sand. And I'm using, all the way up to like 12,000 grit sandpaper just to get that nice and smooth where it looks like it never got broken.
Wow.
And that one actually is sitting next to me. I'm still in the process of working on it.
Okay.
That one went to Slap Happy. I went to Jeff. And we did, this is a Joker-fied version of them. This is the half giant. Every single piece on this is redone.
Those yak heads are great. White.
We did the
shield. That shield is badass.
That's done with clown makeup. That's stippled clown makeup and sponge clown makeup. Now, the same way with the guy, it's clown makeup. And literally, the more you touch it, the more it kind of wears away, like the 1989 Jack Nicklaus version, where it starts to wear away and you start seeing skin tone.
Oh, wow.
The more you actually mess with it, the more unique the character gets.
That's crazy.
Now, take a look at the beard. There you go. I even faded the purples and the greens into the beard, kind of more like a punchline. The new, because Harley Quinn died, so we had a little bit of a punchline thrown in there. And if you see the ha 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 on the chest, it runs the complete gambit of the chest. And then the forearm you're touching right now, under that forearm, it says Harley. So it's got a tattoo on it that says Harley.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of details in there. Some that you may never
Yeah.
even see.
Now, here's a funny joke on this. I did a black and white series Batman, one of those little small statues, and the girl wanted it for her boyfriend, and her boyfriend was a Batman fanatic, and he hated the fact that Batman went Joker-fied in the Arkham Knight video games. So she wanted me to do this full-on motif of Batman sitting in his chair, and he just had his arms out, and he just showcasing the world, hey, I'm Batman, and it's just a black and white Batman, and it's the series. So I did a full Joker version of it. Now on the one that you just saw, that actual Joker, on the back of it, there's a bat symbol that I painted on his back, and in the bat symbol says Joker. I gave him a tramp stamp that says it says Robin plays here, and there's an arrow pointing down.
Oh, come on.
And Jeff was like, "Oh, good Lord Almighty, I can't." There's the Harley.
That's cool.
And we actually added some extra details to it, so it actually kind of filled in a little bit. But we actually added that as just kind of a way of, because he's actually going to get Harley for his next tattoo.
That's all freehanded.
That's all freehand.
That's awesome.
And that he does Slap Happy Toys, so we put Slap on his belly and Happy Toys on the knuckle.
That's great.
There's the actual play arts I was talking about.
This one?
Yep.
That's crazy.
And that was one of the ones that they never wanted it. And I was like, hey, guys, I can give it back. They're no, just keep it. I'm like, oh, okay. I've sold the other two. So I was like, I did 3 of these originally. I did one, and I actually did the Bad Batch. I actually bought 5 of these and actually did my own version of the Bad Batch.
Awesome.
And that sold to one guy, and it literally took this guy like 6 minutes. He walked in and goes, "That's mine." I'm like, okay, sure. That's the Dark Templar.
Yeah.
This one,
I mean, not anymore.
No, I gave this one to Ryan that hangs out with Ish on Toys R Ish.
So Ryan Zarek.
Yeah, this is one I did. Originally, this was supposed to go to OG Geek Mike, and I didn't get a chance to send it to him, so I redid another one for him that's actually emeralds and greens and purples. So that one's gonna go to Mike. This one went to Ryan, and that's the one thing I don't charge you for the stuff. If I want to give you something, I'm gonna give it to you. There's no way you get around it. It's just gonna happen. There's my dog. There's my kid.
I loved that gold work within the cross on that figure. That was cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I went back and that's all done by hand. You can see in the dead center, I kind of messed it up a little bit, but I actually went through and I corrected the diamond in the center. So it actually
it doesn't look completely straight, but that makes it look like flowing fabric.
Right.
Like it actually looks better by not being completely straight.
Right. Well, I mean, most people don't realize that that's actually done with a stamp. When it comes out, it's like poop, and then just keep moving on.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that a lot.
And then there's the Batmobile that I did. That one, if you guys ever know a guy named Humpty, he hangs out with OG Geek and Slap Happy and stuff. He actually did a 1-for-1 droid of this, a printed droid that you can actually print now. This was the paint. We offered to do it for free because I wanted to flex on it because I know how to take MDF and make it look glass smooth. I know how to do that's just one of my specialties that I know how to do very well from all the years in the industry. And we were going to do this as this paint color. I even bought in the lightsaber. I went out and bought a Darth Vader lightsaber to put in this thing's hands. That way he could take it to conventions because he's known as the King of Dragons. He prints all these really cool dragons.
Okay.
But he fell in love. He fell in love and he's in London. He's been in London for like the last 3-4 months.
Oh gosh.
So it's like, well, man, I'm not gonna hinder somebody falling in love. And then there's the Batmobile we did. That's actually the one up.
Oh, here?
Nope, not that one. That's the damage.
There we go.
That's the Batmobile. That's the Ben Affleck
okay.
We repainted it more of an Adam West, like the flat black.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't notice that when you see that car, you don't see the bull nose. in the front, and that's a throwback to Adam West, the original vehicle.
Okay. What is this whole bin of hammerheads over here?
That is literally where I'm at Second Chance Toys, and I'm taking pictures of it. And
okay.
Phyllis and them had basically a bunch of extra toys sitting out, and that's one of the display cases for Star Wars.
Okay. I was just like, man, that's a lot of Ithorians in a bucket.
And then you have there's the helmet that I did for Greg. The blue that's the one I gave to Humpty. That's the helmet I did for Greg.
Okay.
And that's all. That's one of the helmet we gave away, and it came back to me because the lady demanded it get painted again for free, and I gave it to a charity. I gave it to the charity. I'm like, look, just auction it off here. It's yours. And they auctioned it off, and the person who won it came back and said, I wanted you to repaint it for free. And I'm like, ma'am, I charge $500 to paint a helmet. Whether it's a Hasbro helmet or an actual replica helmet, it's the same price because I've still got to do the same amount of work. And I said, I'll repaint it. I said, if you want to resell it or you want to donate it. She's like, oh no, I want it hot pink for my daughter. I was like, I'll paint it, but I have to charge you. I'm sorry. And then she eventually sent it back to me, and I gave her the money back that she put into for the raffle, which was $5. She put in $5 to run a helmet, a custom painted helmet. And Greg did a whole video. Greg Cook, the toy hunter, he did a whole video on the helmet, like really showcasing it and putting it out for people to see.
I love it. Yeah, the blue and white on that is really nice.
It fades into nothing. So it's literally that white. It starts off white and gray, and it fades into nothing.
Wow. That's cool.
And then there's the one, that Joker.
Yeah, what is that? That is crazy.
That is a 3D printed piece. It's two pieces. The Joker, the actual Batman symbol, is what you see, and that's the Joker's face coming out of the Batman symbol.
Oh my gosh, I see it.
We printed 50 of these. We bought the rights off of Etsy, off of one of the companies off Etsy. We printed 50. We weren't really going to be selling them. We were just going to paint them up in different formats. This is the one I literally looked up what your body and teeth look like if you have severe yellow jaundice. That's going to be forever on my Google search. I'll never get that out there. But that's what your teeth look like months before you die from yellow jaundice as an adult.
Wow.
And the gums, the receding gums with the pink and the purple, and then the lips with the heavy liner. And that's also clown makeup. So you paint the clown makeup first, and you go back and paint everything else around it. But this one is sealed, heavily sealed. Okay. That way you can't actually mar it up or scratch it. And then the base that's all weathering. It's basically one color of gray, and then everything else is just weathering.
Wow.
So there's rust, there's all kinds of stuff in there, and it's just as much muck as I could put in there as humanly possible.
I'm going to throw this up here. Dub saying that your stuff looks great in photos, but it's something else in person, really amazing stuff.
I don't take very good photographs, Dub. You know that. My photograph sucks.
Well, that's a running joke. If you have not caught on to it yet in the Cabal, you will. Everybody gives Trevor, the official photographer, a hard time, saying that the photographs don't do the toys justice. They do, but everybody just likes saying that because
that is actually what it looks like painted.
It's just different when you get them in your hand. I don't think any photo can, equal the magic of getting one of these things in your hand. So,
because I'm sure this looks really cool. I'm sure seeing it in person would be a completely different experience.
It is, because it actually started off as a chromium black, and it actually faded out to almost a pure baby sky blue, and everything in between. And it's the blues are dominantly airbrushed, and then a little bit of handwork here and there. But all the metal is actually painted by hand, because you can't actually airbrush that. Once you get the stuff done, you literally can't. You just can't do it. And the teeth I learned a long time ago that teeth are supposed to look kind of rotten on Venom. They're supposed to look kind of like he's just never brushed his teeth and rotten. So I went in and literally painstakingly dabbed with a tiny little sponge, just to kind of give that tartar kind of look. But this is one that sale.
giving you a hard time about putting the Terminator and the Venom symbiote together. I mean, just get lost. This is crazy cool. Yeah, it might not be comic book canon, but
It's not.
awesome.
But we also have one with Bob Ross. We're actually trying to do one where it's a kind
Venom or a Terminator,
Bob Ross-ish kind of look, and there's a little sign that goes, we're just going to put a happy little slash right here, and then he's doing like this, and we're trying to get, because it keeps breaking in shipment. We sent a couple of them out. We're trying to get them done, but it keeps breaking in shipment. And there's some of the LED work we do for some of the Star Wars stuff. Now, if you click on that Johnny Depp picture right there, that is one of my friends. She's in Indonesia. So if you guys ever get a chance, Ida Wadi, Idawadi, Ida Wadi this is her oil painting of Johnny Depp. It was done in 3 days.
Wow.
That is how talented she is. Now, this only would cost you maybe like $300. She's in Indonesia. She is one of the best mural painters I have ever seen in my entire life. And she's just not getting recognition, like none. I tried to put it out. I tried to get this and Johnny's handlers. I was like, hey, I'll get you the handler name number. I'll get you wherever you have to send it to. And they basically, they didn't pan on it. But after the whole Amber Heard thing, he started getting inundated with every artist that wanted to give him something and wanted to get recognized by him. They only wanted their 15 minutes of fame. That was it.
Okay. I believe this I saw that name pop up in the chat here. So I saw, watching from Indonesia. So
yes,
that's really cool. Thank you for being here, whether you're still here or you're watching later again, but that's really cool.
She, like I said, one of the best oil painters I've ever seen in my life. I didn't paint this one because it just looks so freaking cool from the animated series as it was. And this was one somebody traded me. I was at Alabama Comic-Con. I had a 20 by 20 booth at Alabama Comic-Con, full of my stuff, all my helmets, everything I had went there. And I did a Tiberian shuttle, and I LED'd it.
Okay.
And I actually went through and I did a full-on movie-grade LED package on the Tiberian shuttle. And it still worked. It still had the sounds and whatnot. But Seth from Alabama saw it, and he was like, what do you want for that? I'm like, well, you know how much this thing's $400 before I LED'd it. After LED, it's looking around about $1,000 because it took me like a month to LED the thing. He's like, what do you want? And I pointed things out that I wanted that right up about $1,000. He was like, done. I couldn't get it out of the case fast enough for him. Give me that. Come on, I got stuff to do. I'm like, all right, here.
Oh man, that's cool.
There's the LEDs I did on that.
Right here?
Yeah. Some of the underbody landing LEDs.
Oh, nice.
We didn't do any paint work on it. Now, I am doing one right now for Chance and his dad. And they gave me one. They gave me a Tiberian shuttle that literally, oh my God, it was so bad. It looked like they were in a house of smokers for 300 years. It was brown.
Oh, gosh.
It was just brown.
Can you go up one, Jesse, right there in the middle? I like that, seeing that before it's painted.
Yep, that's the before.
Yeah, that's cool. Like just the Batman logo, and then once it's painted, like just how much it changes the overall look.
And as you can see, for some reason, my camera likes to do this like fuzzy, like fog. That's not a special effect. I think I'm just That one is actually for a customer, a client of mine, and that is literally a 3D printed piece. This guy, his name's Ken. He's awesome, fantastic guy. But this is one that I did for him, and we actually have like 10 or 15 of these that we did. We went in, and I actually pulled up pictures of pig guts. I can do that freaking. That's never going to be off my Google search either. That's actually a perfect piece of where someone actually had cut a pig or an animal had killed a pig. And that we rendered it perfectly out of that.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Oh, tell me about it. Leathers are some of my favorite things to paint. I actually love to really manipulate the leather to make it look like cold weather. That's
Oh,
that
what
red
is
one. That's another one I did for him.
now?
And
Are these
as you
minis? Are these tabletop minis?
no, these are like 70 mil, 70 to 120
Okay.
mil. So these, and you see that
Wow.
red orange, just like some of my favorite. The reds are some of my favorite things to paint. But I went through and I painted this, and I went way above and beyond on this thing, way above and beyond.
It's like I like how it's the skirt is red,
Mhm.
and then he's like the red orange. Like it's a real subtle is not quite the right word, but it's
Well,
similar, but they're very striking.
that started off as a reddish purple, and when I was done with that, that skirt was coal blue or coal black.
Oh,
So it was a privateer press P3 paints coal black, and we actually did a bunch
okay,
of we did a bunch of fade work on it, and that's a picture of where I sit.
okay. I mean, I don't know. Are you aware of the Fury Clan in Mythic Legions?
I've heard of him a little bit. I'll click on the Deadpool.
The
That
Venom
one,
Pool?
yep, the Venom Pool. That one's completely repainted. Now, Big Mike from OG Geek has this. He was supposed to do a giveaway for it. I actually gave it to him because I'm a massive fan of his. But everything on this, every single color on this is being repainted by me. And this is the
Wow.
one you can get from GameStop for $50.
Wow.
Okay, like the Diamond Gallery.
Yep. And it was just that simple. And I couldn't stand the way that to me, Deadpool himself is just not, it doesn't pop enough for me. So that's what he looked like when he first came out of the box.
Okay.
Really flat, really like this meh. It's not bad, but it's, and then you look at that, we put it out there where it's dynamic and the skin looks like it's crawling.
Yeah. That's great. I feel like what were we saying? The Fury Clan. So the Fury Clan, like this is Curtis, you can attest to this. The Fury Clan is one of the most popular subsets within Mythic Legions. They're part of the Legion of Erethyr. They're basically beings who, for some reason, like their skin or their base color turns red when they become part of the Fury Clan. So red and black. If you want to sell a bunch of stuff at Legions Con, do Fury Clan stuff because everybody loves buying Fury Clan figures. So if red and black are your jam,
that is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and
Oh
they
my
started
God.
out with orcs, but now it's more than just orcs. It really can be anything. But yeah, that red and black color scheme is pretty nice.
Now this was originally I don't know if this is the Red Hulk or they originally started out as the Green Hulk. But I was at Atlanta Comic Con, and in one day, one customer came in and spent like $1,800 just in commissions.
Wow.
Now, when I'm doing these commissions for like these bigger characters like this, it's only a $200 paint job to me. So to me, it's like, hey, it's $200, $50 for the figure, $200 for the paint job. So I'm not charging astronomical prices for my work. Even like the Tron and other things, that's $160 for the Trons, and all those other figures.
Oh wow.
I'm not charging astronomical pricing on stuff. I want my work to be out there where people can express it and love it. That's why I gave Dub a fantastic price on Slug. Normally that Slug would be 500 plus, but I know Dub. I know for a fact it's not going to be resold, or he's not just going to throw it away or put it somewhere we're never going to see it. He's going to take it out and enjoy it and love it. So I had no problem giving him a better deal. Plus, I love his channel. I love watching what he's doing, especially with the whole family aspect. It's the family that really makes it for me. And then there's a different Iron Man take that I did. I was working on that one. And if you look in the background, you're gonna see me looking out my garage door in the middle of freaking winter. Because literally here in Georgia, it doesn't get super cold, maybe like 1 week, and then people lose their mind. People lose their mind. There's the Venom helmet that I'm working on still. That's Iron Man helmet that Punisher. So the eyes are going to be like the red.
Okay.
We did a Carnage one as well. That one pretty much sold, but I did 3 more just like it. Where we went back and actually added the actual lip curl. above
Yeah,
the
it's
mouth.
crazy crisp.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what you can do with the right amount of masking tape.
Ah,
And there,
very cool.
click on the go up. There's a mug right there. That is actually 3D printed. Now you can see the serrations and the MDF in it, but that is actually blended. Mabel, my dog, that is blended by hand.
Mm.
So all those rubies are actually blended by hand.
Oh, okay.
Mabel.
That's cool.
But yeah, that's one thing that we did. There's a guy that I know, a really good buddy of mine. He owns something called the Bard's Forge on Etsy. His name is Jimmy. Great guy, great painter. There's the there's the dragon I was talking about. Down
Where?
Down.
Oh, the smog. Oh,
That's the smog I did.
Nice.
oh, wow.
And that's when I had to take the monsters out from behind it because I had 3 monsters behind the smog. And he goes, I don't know what you're paying for it. I'm like, you're paying for the dragon. I'm sorry. I gotta stay awake, man.
And that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's just a plethora of stuff that I paint on throughout every day. I'm usually if I'm not out in the garage doing build work, I'm in my studio here and I'm 12 to 16 hours, 7 days a week. I'm constantly painting, constantly working on something new. Even right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably like 10 commissions on the table right now. I'm working on tonight.
Wow.
The Charles Collectible Show here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. It's every Saturday and Sunday, but it's like a convention every Saturday and Sunday, and it's all toy guys. It's all one giant toy event. And I just bought 3 booths there. So I'm going to be a permanent resident every Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Eventually there'll be an airbrushing bank there. So if you want to buy a Gundam or you want to come in and sit with me, I will come in and sit down with you, and I will actually start teaching you what I know. I'm not going to put it behind a paywall. I'm not going to make you pay for it. I'm no longer part of the union, so I don't have to give up 51%. But we are going to have paint classes there where we teach you wet blending techniques, 2-brush techniques, push-pull techniques, non-metallic metallic techniques, how to actually grind out joints to make your action figure move, how to heat it up so you can actually grind out areas to get, they can actually do the crossover. I'm doing one right now that it's Mythic Legion Run DMC. And I got 2 guys going like this, and I got them posed where they're going to be permanent. You're not going to be able to move them again. They're going to be statuette. But I've got it ground out, so they're actually coming like this, and I'm green sculpting the hats.
Okay.
So the hats, and even I've green sculpted. I even got the shell toes. So I actually found a Miles Morales that had shell toes on, and I actually bought 2 of them. I'm going to put it on the feet, and I'm just going to put it, permanent, where they're going to be standing, and there's going to be like New York City in the background. And I'm just going to use Photoshop for the New York City with the sunlight, and it's just a tribute to Run DMC. And that's just for a customer. So it's already sold. Sorry, guys. It's already sold. But yeah, we're doing all kinds of stuff. Animal Kingdom. We're actually taking some of those guys and we're repainting them for the customer wants the Thundercats out of them. He wants the Super 7. He wants Thundercats out of these guys. So we're actually literally taking Thundercats pilot episode, taking all the armor off, and we're painting it pilot episode.
Okay.
We're actually going to paint it very minimal. And it's like, scrub down, wipe it down with a 1,000 grit sandpaper just to kind of get so the paint will stick. Sometimes most people don't know there's mold release. That's one reason. If you're ever painting it and the paint doesn't stick and it looks like it's just like, almost turning into strings, take a little bit of Dawn liquid detergent or like one of those magic erasers, scrub your model down. I always tell everybody, even on my YouTube channel, wash the thing first. I wash and then I go straight into alcohol. And after I'm alcohol, I pull it out, I wash again because you got to knock the alcohol off. And then I'm going back into my painting. So one figure might take me 3 hours of prep work just to get ready to paint, and then 10 hours of painting. Wow. So, but I'm anal retentive that way. I want when you get one of these figures from me, there's nothing wrong with it. And if there is, send it back for the first 90 days. I'm going to go ahead and take care of it. That's just my biggest thing, because I don't want someone saying, man, it's got this great work, but once you start moving that shit, it's just like garbage. If it's a figure like these guys here, I didn't really do like the joint work and the elbows. I didn't do a lot of work in there. Now you can stain it, you can dye them. You heat the plastic up to a certain point, you can drop it in like almost food coloring kind of dye, and it like dyes the material. I don't like that because it smells bad. It makes the whole house kind of stink in my opinion. And I'm like, I just don't move the elbows, kind of a thing. Unless you want me to do that, which on the
That's
slaughter,
yellow paint for me.
yes, on the
Yellow
slaughter
paint stinks for me.
I left the orange in. I actually painted it was purple, but I actually left the orange in, and then I added orange highlights all over it so it blends. So what might look like a mistake is actually purposely done so I can blend everything in with the orange highlights here and there and make it look, oh, that was supposed to be there. Yes, it was. But not really. I was just too lazy to paint that spot. But I mean,
I tell you what, if you ever do like a little video clip, whether it's on Instagram or somewhere where you're doing the painting with the needle that you were talking about, I would really like to see that because I've never seen that technique before. So that sounds very interesting.
You can do the same thing with toothpick. If you have a toothpick, and if your mix is thin enough where it's like, well, one thing a lot of people don't realize, especially with water-based acrylics, you want to make the acrylic paint like thick cream. Like cream. You want to have it that consistency. And always, all your paint, even your metals, need to be that consistency. And it's the old Games Workshop way of doing it is 3 thin layers, and then move on to your next color. I do 4 or 5 thin layers, depending on the color: yellows, purples, reds, whites. Whites usually get blotchy, so I'm thinning that mixed down. I also I use, it's called Instacolor Primer, and it's by Scale 75. This is actually made for the company called Scale 75. They put out their own miniatures, and they are some of the most high-end, best painters in the world to paint those miniatures, because they're like busts and Napoleonics and great stuff. But this, if you add a little bit of what is it, Dick Blix, the company called Dick Blix or Blix Art Supply, they make a mixing medium, an acrylic water-based mixing medium. You can buy it in bulk. You can buy this stuff from Reaper, but it's only about yay beta. It's called Flow Improver. It's actually called Flow Improver.
Okay.
You can buy that from Reaper, and that's just all that is basically it's just a there's the item number on it. It's just a water soluble. It's paint without pigment.
Okay.
It's a wash paint without pigment. That's it. And I turned my whites into a wash paint with pigment. So this is so, white paint shouldn't sound like you're actually sloshing water. Other thing, put BBs. You can get the stainless steel BBs. Drop it in your paint. You need an agitator in there. You need an agitator in your paint. Otherwise, it starts getting clumpy. If you haven't used the paint for more than like 3 weeks, pop it open, drop some actually flow improver or drop some mixing medium in there, shake it up really good because that paint will settle to the bottom and it'll separate. And then you might spend $8 on a pot of paint. You're like, oh, I can't use it now. So it's like a giant lump. And then I don't know if a lot of the people who's doing it, if they actually use paint shakers, but they actually have these little things you get on Amazon, and it looks like a hurricane. It's actually made for tattoo artists. They actually mix it with paint. You just tap it on the top, and it actually oscillates around in a circle. It mixes your paint for you.
Oh, cool!
Just like $29. They're super
nice.
And you just put it on your desk. Put it on your desk whenever you're going to use the paint. Boom, hold it for like 10, 15 seconds, pop it out, put it on your wet palette, you're ready to rock. And these are all the things, the paint classes that we're going to do at this local event. These are all the things I'm going to talk about. These are all the things, those events are going to be like buy-in, but you get a wet palette, you get 2 brushes. And then you get 15 hours with me. And I'm going to be walking and talking to every single person and like walk through, hey, try this. Try, putting your first layer of paint down where it's kind of a little bit on the thick side. Take your next brush. I have brushes that have 2 heads on them. I love that he likes his paint shaking. That's awesome. And I put mixing medium. I put the flow improver on both sides, and then I'll have a third brush in my hand, a second brush in my hand, and I'll take a second color, and I'll actually put that, and I'll push and pull that paint back and forth with each other, and I'll wet blend on the model or wet blend on the action figure. And then if it starts getting too dry, I'll pull the one brush out of my mouth, dab a little bit of the mixing medium, and I'll start doing the push and pull again. And it blends from that dark to that super light gradient. So you actually get that nice fade work out of it. And that's just one of the things I love doing.
Very cool. And just again, what was the name of the place that you're going to be doing this again?
It's Charles Collectible Show. It's every Saturday and Sunday. It's here in Georgia, in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Because I live in Norcross, Georgia, so I don't care who knows where I live. Y'all show up to my house, I'm just gonna put you to work. This need to be done. Yeah, it's every Saturday, every Sunday. We're doing this. This coming Sunday is our first Gundam Builder Day. I absolutely love Gundam models. I cannot get enough of them.
Nice.
But I'm also going to try to do something that's kind of unprecedented here in Georgia. And it doesn't matter if I have cancer. It doesn't matter if I'm dying on my deathbed. I don't care. I am going to sponsor somebody because I've done work for Bandai Namco before. I want to sponsor somebody to get to New York Comic Con and represent Georgia as a Gundam builder. And I want them to go head on head with somebody that goes to the world situation. Because if you win a New York Comic Con, you're actually going to Japan and representing the United States for the Gundam World Builder events.
Oh, wow.
You get there, it's top tier. I mean, they love you. They love your work, but you only have an 18 by 18 inch square to display your work. So if it's diorama, you have to maintain the 18 by 18. Now it's 28 to 30 inches tall. So you have more verticality that you can actually do. So you have to think three-dimensional space. You have to think, I did one where I actually did was like cubism. Literally, it looked like the Gundam was fighting here, and then there's another cube fighting here. There's another cube fighting here.
Gotcha.
It was all interlocked with acrylic beams. And then on the back side of it, there was a galaxy print. So it literally looked like he was jumping from one comic book page to another comic book page, to another comic book page. And it took me like 2 years to build this thing and do it. And I got disqualified. Because I had done work with Bandai Namco before. And I'm like, you son of bitches. I had a lot of underhanded words, but they did buy the piece from me. I've not seen it on any of their websites. I've gone looking for it. I've actually deep dived it. It's just gone. 2 years of my life working on one thing that was a passion project. I was, oh God, I gotta get this done. And once I figured it out, I got it done. It's just gone. So
wow.
But that's where they are.
Gotcha.
Wow. And thank you. You said this has been a very informative kind of format because that's kind of what I wanted to do.
That is, I think that's John Strange, I believe.
Thank you. That's one thing I wanted to do when I talk to you guys, and I would love to talk to you guys any day of the week, all the time, because it's kind of cool what you guys do. And I'm looking at what you guys have in the background, and I keep looking at your eyes. I'm looking at the background. What year's that? And I'm trying to do it subtly. I'm not like, hey man, get out of the way. Let me look what's in the background.
Yeah, well, I like this, what we do as well, because we get to talk to folks like you that we haven't talked to before and learn about, what brought you into this, what the kind of things you enjoy. Like I didn't even know of your Instagram until tonight. Like tonight, I just, that I've been kind of scrolling through as we've been going and just kind of looking at your Instagram and stuff. So yeah, like, talking to new folks and learning what, kind of things they enjoy doing and that kind of stuff is a really fun part of this show. And I know that, Jesse obviously started the show before I was involved in that. I think that was kind of the idea, right, Jesse? You just kind of get to know people. And
yeah, like I started off talking with two friends of mine that were long-term friends from high school, elementary school. And then the next week was a college friend, just to kind of get things going. And I was like, I just want to talk to people about stuff. And, I'm in this toy group now and I'm doing customs now. And it was just like, let's just talk to people. And then Curtis and I kind of hit it off and we just started talking like every day. And I was like, let's come on the show and we'll do this together, and just getting to talk and meet people. That's cool. Last week with Jesse, Fire Eyes and the toy photographer, we talked to him because we saw Curtis had found his stuff and was one of the shelf picks, shelf selections at the beginning of the show. And we were like, hey, can you come on and talk about, so we got a whole different perspective on photography, because Nate and Trevor does the 1/6 shooter. He does the photos for Horsemen. He did the Dark Wolf that the Frazetta girls are doing.
Mhm.
Like he did the production shots for that. You know, we get to see a lot from him, but it's just because everybody just has that different extra like dimension, that different facet of how they might have similar techniques and things, but they have their own way of doing it. And it's always really cool to see how they get to different things the same way or differently. And
Yeah.
just getting to talk to people and get to know. And yeah, so this has been a really fun talk tonight.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. I actually asked Dub when I saw him earlier. I'm like, "What am I in store for?" Because I've been on a couple of like literally at an attack job, a hatchet attack job.
Oh man,
It was like, and it was one that I did with some of the Star Wars 501st. I did something out in California with one of the legions out there, and I sent a bunch of helmets for free. I did a bunch of helmets for one of the local charities out there for free because I love what they do. I love the volunteer work. They're constantly trying to make the kids, going for like the children's hospitals. That I'm passionate about that stuff. That and big Toys for Tots and Better Women Shelters. I donate every year, like all of December. Anything I sell, anything I make, all goes to Toys for Tots and Better Women Shelters. Because I grew up that way. I grew up with a very drunk, abusive dad that didn't give me toys, which is why I wanted to be in the toy industry, and why I was very afraid of going against the culture norm for some Italian families. Even though I'm kind of a mixed race kid, even though I look like my dad, which is kind of sad because my mother was a beautiful Cherokee woman, absolutely gorgeous Cherokee woman. And I adored my mom. I absolutely adored my mom because that woman put up a world of hurt. But she just had this fire, this power in her eyes. Whereas like that's one thing I always wanted to harness. Whenever I'm at a convention and I see a little kid, it's kind of I'm like, no. And on the Instagram, you're gonna see one little boy. He's holding a mask over his face. That little boy, it was his birthday. He only had $3 left after spending all of his money. And his father walked up and he was like, "Hey, I'm really sorry." He picked this up and walked out of it and wanted to show me with it. I'm like, "I know." He said it was his birthday. He was like, "Yeah, but we owe you money." I'm like, "Happy birthday. This is yours. Happy birthday." Because I was that kid that didn't get that stuff. Now, he had money to spend because he had lawnmower money and stuff like that. But I was like, "No, man, happy birthday. That's the first thing you picked up when you walked in. You were so excited. You ran out of my booth to show your dad. You have to have that. That's got to be yours. That was made actually for you." So I just gave it to him. I was like, "You know what? I'm not asking you to pay for it, man. Just take it. Have yourself a good birthday." And the next day he showed back up. He had a ninja outfit on. He had his little ninja swords. And he was wearing the kabuki mask that I painted for Joker. And he was walking around, "Hey, Mr. Scott, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, buddy, you got more money?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "You want to sit down and we want to paint something?" So I actually gave him a model. I actually sat him down in my booth and I let him paint. He got paint everywhere, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was just he had fun. He had a good time with it. And that's all that mattered to me was that he
That's
had
cool.
a good time. And that's like I said, the Battered Women's Shelter every December, every dime I make goes to the Toys for Tots Foundation, whether I'm buying toys and donating it, or I'm actually giving the money to one of the local Battered Women's Shelters. Where 9 times out of 10, the wife has to go incognito, and she has to be from another state. They just gotta hide. So I'm like, nope, that's my December is that. So if you guys see me sell anything in December, you know where the money's going. It's all going there. So that's just
that's awesome.
Action projects. So
that's cool. Yeah, it's like we were saying, like it's just cool to hear people's stories. Typically what happens is one of us will find something and we'll message the other one and say, "Hey, what do you think about having so and so on?" And there's a good chance that the other person will go, "Okay, yeah, who's that?" Because that's kind of what happened like with Jesse last week. Like I found him Fire Rise, and I found him on the shelf selection to just kind of message Jesse. Was like, "Hey, what do you think about having him on?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's great. Who is it?" and I kind of did the same thing when he had mentioned you. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about having Scott Warren on. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Ah, that's awesome." who is he? And he's like, well, did you see that there was the guy that was at the show and he was painting the troll like on the spot? I was like, oh yeah, I think I saw that. And he's like, yeah, it's him. He hasn't been in Legions long, but I think he'd be good on the show. And then since then, obviously, Cosmics come out. You've done some amazing stuff on the Cosmic stuff. And it just like, yeah. So I saw today, like, Big Dubs posting, some people are talking about your work and stuff. And I'm like, hey, that's the guy we're having on the show tonight.
Well, even Dub said, you don't get the nuances, like the sculptors, the guys who sculpted Slog. You don't get the little nuances of the cut that goes all the way down to almost at the bottom of his chin. That cut goes way down here. So you don't really get the nuances, especially when the green paintwork, which is great, but it's just those little things that I wanted to pick out and pull out. The same way with the eyes. I wanted to, one eye was white. Like it had a cut through it and it killed the eye. So one eye is actually painted frosted white. The other one has got that red it's a red within a red iris and a small little purple dot in the dead center. Then the purple skin as it fades to the back. It's purple on the back and it fades to that yellow orange in the front. Then the whole outfit, that's actually done with adding extra metal to the metal paint. So it's adding either chromium or cobalt or whatever I get my hands on. Like there's a steel mill, a steel shop that's not too far from us. And whenever they grind, they actually grind a bunch of stuff down. And I usually walk in, I'm like, hey, you guys have any extra stuff? You have any extra, like, whatever powder you have laying around, can I get some? I usually get like, the 2-3 ounces of a bottle, like that's me, but I add it to every metal color, even my golds. I add a little bit of extra just to give it that little pop. It's just that, like, every color I use, doesn't matter if it's like one of the new Vallejos. And if you and if any of you guys out there have not used this new brand, the Vallejo with the new red ring on it, it has a new polymer in it, and Vallejo completely revamped their entire line. The old Vallejo is good, but this stuff here is basically paint out of the bottle ready.
Interesting.
Put it on a dropper, put it right to the model, ready to rock. And their metals, they now have an entire line of metals that are not grainy. It's actually done with a liquid pigment instead of an actual dried pigment. So there's just little nuances that, especially in the industry, that you need to pay attention to, like what kind of brush you use, what kind of paintbrush you want to use. A Winsor Newton Series 7 or a Kolinsky Sable Hair brush. Those are some of the best ones you can use. Or Artist Opus is another brush, and those are actually they're not a stiff brush. It's more of a soft brush, but that one's actually made for feathering. Like you can feather your paints, and you can actually really go through and blend them out and make them look really, really natural. But yeah, Winsor Newton Series 7 is probably one of the better. Yep, they're a little inexpensive.
That's my favorite. I have one. It's my favorite brush.
I have about 100 of them, and the ones I use the most are the ones I've had for like 6 years. Yeah, I've had those. Now, here's one thing you need to know about that brush. So, hair shampoo and hair conditioner. That protein-based hair, and it has the same fundamental things that our hair needs. So twice a week, hair shampoo and hair conditioner, and then get yourself something called brush rejuvenator. You can actually get it at Dick Flicks and stuff like that. Once a month, run it through that and let it sit upside down where the bristles are pointing down. It's going to pull all excess moisture from the ferrule, and it's going to keep your brush blades from doing this.
Okay.
We all have a brush that does that. Like it's perfect. It's a nice sharp razor edge point. You can do almost calligraphy with it when you really want to. But one time you get too much paint down on that ferrule, down at that bottom edge of the ferrule, it starts doing like this. The paint, it starts building up, caulking up, and there's no way to bring it back. That brush basically gets turned into an overbrush or a dry brush just for like certain small areas. But like literally on an average day, I'm using every one of these. On an average day, I'm using every single brush, and I always keep these. Like the little, these actually made for Gundams, but it's basically just a stick with like one like. I used to call. I'm 49, guys. This was called a roach clip when I was a kid. But they call them a clasper now. But we have that, and then like you name it, I paint with it, and it doesn't matter if it's a toothpick, cotton swab, the Q-tips. If you get the right consistency, you can go in and make that paint job almost look like it's cold weathered and it's got an icy kind of frost over top of metal.
Okay.
With just a Q-tip.
Hmm.
And over the sponge. If you have an old sponge that you're going to throw away, take it and scrub it out with as much liquid detergent as you can. Pull it apart in little pieces, and then take one of those little roach clips or the claspers, and take it and just sort of tap. And what you're doing is you're actually adding defects in the metal or defects in the piece. You can go back in with a little bit of metal paint and just sort of put little check marks in it, and it looks like chinks in the paint, like pieces of paint blown off and peeled off. There's another thing called chipping. There's actually a paint called chipping paint. You put it on first wherever you're going to paint. You put your color on. You put the chipping paint on. You do all the rest of your secondary paint. You take a stiff brush and you start poking at where the chipping paint is. It chips off, and it makes it look like natural battle damage.
Okay.
Interesting.
There's all
Very cool
tips and tricks in the industry that you can do, and these are what the fine scale modelers do. Like a lot of people are like really sleeping on the fine scale modeler magazine. You get so many tips and tricks of how to go through and make your stuff look actually like it's breathing. Literally, like your model sitting there, almost looks like it's breathing. But I've done work. I've actually had periodicals where I've actually done stuff for them. There's another great convention in Chattanooga called ModelCon. It's every January, and it's basically just World War I, World War II models. Now, granted, most of these guys are in Rascal scooters now. I'm not gonna lie. If you have Rascal scooter jousting, old guys joust together, which is fantastic. But it's every January. It's in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it's a pretty good little convention. But it's all World War I, World War II, and it's all classic fine scale modeling. Now, there you can pick up a plethora of stuff to actually work on. Like all your little fine bits and your little fiddly bits and stuff that you want to do, you can do all that stuff there. And most people don't realize that the Millennium Falcon is 99% World War II model. It's 200 models ripped apart and all put back together again. And all the models back then, that's all they had. In the 70s, that's really all they had, World War II models.
Right.
They didn't have sci-fi stuff. So, and they're called Grimbles or Gribblies. All the little bits and pieces that you see, they'll actually cut pieces off of all these different models and dump it in a bucket. You go to ILM and it's like, oh, go get yourself a handful of Gribbles. And you'll go upstairs and you go, and I mean, the Millennium Falcon has a mop on the side of it and a push broom. Nobody sees it because it looks perfectly blended in. There's a push broom and a mop on that thing, and it's on the side piece. And it's to me, that's the archive stuff. If you can go back and look at that, and you can really pull for that, and see some of they built that from scratch. Literally, that was all built from scratch. They had even the inner workings of it. None of it was ever designed before. That's the stuff that I love. That's the stuff I want to pass on to the next generation. Hey, just because it hasn't been done on an action figure doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't come up with a concept, a kind of way to do it. And once again, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to screw something up and make it look. Well, no, his arm was supposed to be cut in half. See the bone? That's supposed to be there, even though the dog might have chewed it off. Mabel,
right?
My dog's looking at me, going, "I didn't do nothing, Dad."
Like today, I was doing a character from Vox Machina, and she's got this it's her holy symbol.
I love that show.
Okay, so I was working on Pike and Percy today, and I'll send you pictures. I'm trying to save them to not show them all off, but I'll send them to you after the show. She's got her little holy symbol on like a necklace. So I just took a piece of black thread, tied it, made it a necklace, and then I cut, because she's short, I cut some of the armor off, one of the side pieces, like the hip armor off of a 2.0 Mythic Legion. And I just had this little thin piece of plastic. I'm like, I could make it out of that. So I just cut it. It's not perfect, but I cut it in the geometric shape. Right. And I just super glued it onto the string just to give her the thing. It's just a flat piece of the really soft, flexible plastic on the Mythic Legions. But I was like, well, all right, that works. That's good enough for me.
That's awesome. That's the stuff I love. That's the stuff I love hearing. I love hearing how people are like, hey man, I came up with this idea. And then you see it implemented. And it's like, dude, that's freaking great. I actually went and there's the Book of Boba Fett. You find him at Walmart. It's the actual Boba Fett himself, and he's in the big heavy cloak, and it's in the card back action figure.
Yeah.
Well, my Walmart was getting rid of them for like $8 a pop. They were discounted for $8 a pop, so I bought like 30 of them, and I literally went through and I pulled the cloaks off of it, and I started doing like Dobby. I'm repainting one of the small bat guys as Dobby from Harry Potter.
That's great.
And I'm actually doing it with the whole sash on it and stuff like that. And then I wanted to do another mythic behind it and try to add some glasses to it and have him holding the sock or have him holding the book and do like a little dialogue. So it was kind of something funny that I kind of wanted to do, but it's still I've got all these Boba Fett's that I'm like, what am I gonna do when I'm shooting Boba Fett's now? So I'm probably gonna pop the heads and pop the hands and use some of the body work for other things. Because I want to do a diorama of a bunch of dead Tusken Raiders, and then Anakin in a dead center, and have a little sign saying, "I've had a really bad day." It's a really bad day. Or you guys talk to me before coffee. You know what's wrong. So.
Oh, that's funny.
But. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was actually talking about one thing I was doing for Second Chance Stories. I'm taking one of the, and this was a while back we talked about, one of the Tiberian shuttles that was really bad, and it looked like it was in a smoker's house. And I'm building the resin work around it to make it look like it crash landed in either Endor or on Tatooine. Or not Tatooine, Yoda's planet. God.
Dagobah.
Mm-hmm. I even have some of the swamp creatures, and I'm actually doing like a multi-layer pour. So it's going to go murky, a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter, then clear. And then you're going to see the ship is actually going to come in at an angle. I've already got things cut and broken. I've already got the LED work done. And there's going to be like arcing LEDs. So it's just going to look like flashes. There's arcing under the water. And I've got some of the 3 3/4 old Power of the Force stormtroopers. And one of the like a droid, they're all going to be in the water floating. So I'm doing that for them. That's going to be one of the showpieces that they're going to have there. I mean, I didn't charge them anything for it, but I really wanted to go above and beyond for those guys. So they really took care of me for a little while. Great guys too, but that's one of the showpieces that we were supposed to have at Jolana, but it really wasn't the placing for it, and the resin's not. It's the deep pour resin isn't solidifying right, so it's still kind of sloshy. So I'm having to put it in a bake tank, which just one big square box that's about 90 degrees. It's dry heat, and it's a slow, nice dry heat, and it's working now. It's actually starting to, and I might have mixed it wrong. I might have mixed the resin wrong, which is probably what happened. But I'm able to kind of go through and fix it on the fly. But yeah,
very cool.
Jose here says, I'm gonna have to go back and watch this episode another 2 or 3 times. So much great info and tips. Thanks so much. I was thinking the same thing. Like there's been a few things that I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna have to need to rewind this and pull up, that masking thing, or pull up, how to do that, like the chinks in the armor. And yeah. So
that's one thing that
I agree.
They up on like Facebook or Instagram, and they want to talk about this. I don't hide this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. And since, like I said, since I'm no longer part of the union and I'm no longer that, I want to go through and I want to make sure that other people can do the same thing I do. I love teaching people how to do this stuff.
Right.
That's one of my biggest passions. Is a teacher helped me, and she got me on a path out of, basically being, a dipshit. She got me on a good path. And if I can do that for just one person in my life, I've succeeded. Just helping one person out to get off a path of being a dipshit, that's all that matters. Now, granted, my daughter would be like, well, you helped me. Well, you're my kid, and it's natural. You're going to be a dipshit. It's ingrained, kiddo. It's there. But, yeah, that's just that's one thing that's really if I can do that, we will be a wealthy man.
Yeah.
That one guy will be a wealthy man.
Well, just judging off the comments and, the impact that I've been able to see you're making in the Cabal and knowing how that place works. Like, it's like any Facebook group, you're going to have your negative Nellies and, naysayers here and there. But for the most part, the group is, like Curtis was saying, it's very supportive, very encouraging, sharing. You're definitely making a difference there. So that just definitely.
I love being there with the guys. I love seeing all the different work because I don't know everything. I know a lot, but I still want to learn. There's always going to be somebody that's a better painter than me. There's
Right.
always going to be somebody more creative than me. There's always going to be somebody that's going to humble me, and I want to meet them. I want to be in their presence. I want them to, hey, I don't care what you did for a living, blah, 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 blah. Here's what I can do. Dude, I've never thought about that. Do you mind if I give it a try? And then battle back and forth with techniques. It's not about me competing with somebody. It's about, hey, this is what I'm doing now. What do you guys think? By the way, it's going to be for sale. I've made a couple commissions off of it. I actually did one. Got one commission for the eagle or the hawk. I put it up on Facebook and a couple other places. I didn't put it on Instagram, unfortunately. But a gentleman sent me the hawk, and he sent me the Stratos wings. So I actually pulled stills for what a hawk wing looks like, and I actually painted it 1-for-1 to match the hawk in with the same color palette and everything. So I actually did that, and I actually did it so when you open the wings or close the wings, you don't see that red. It's all brown, and it's Paul in California is where it's going to, and it should be there Tuesday. And I asked him to post pictures because I can paint the stuff, but I can't post. I can't in my life.
Yeah.
I even have my surrogate daughter that lives here that I'm helping her get back on track and whatnot. She's a breathtaking photographer, but she doesn't have the confidence. And it's like, look, I'll buy you the camera. I'll give you one of the Canon cameras. I'll do whatever I have to do to get you to start taking pictures. Let's go to the park, start taking black and whites. Like OG Geek Mike, fantastic photographer. That guy does just beautiful freaking work. And Mike's just a great guy. Mike's just a great guy. But it's like if I can get Anna to have that passion and that confidence, there's no telling how far this girl can go.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just a rock star when it comes to her picture work. And she's the one taking some of the more pictures lately in the shadow box. I actually bought a shadow box to do everything in it. And she's been the one doing the pictures for me. And she's actually going to conventions with me now. Like, hey, Joe Atlanta, Joe Atlanta, she was actually dressed up as a sexy version of Day of the Dead. And not one person stopped to talk to her. There was one old lady that would walk around going, your butt's showing. And she was like, it's kind of the outfit. It's eye candy trying to win. But it was her choice. She wanted to do it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I was even going to do the makeup. I was going to do the whole Day of the Dead makeup on her. I was going to do the flowers and the whole scroll work. But it was like, we got there and it was like, ooh, this is not the right convention. There was nothing but old guys here. Some of the old guys are like, walking around with like those little scooters. There was one guy, he actually had 2 bags. He had 2 IV bags. And they were actually IVs and they were in his arm and he's walking around the convention.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, I think your priority's in the wrong place there, bucko. You might want to be at home.
I don't know,
mean,
man.
that's like you said about painting. You're gonna like. I can just see it now. Grim Reaper's just gonna be standing there like it's time to go, and you're like, wait, I got a couple more details to go. Let me finish this up.
I just sit down and watch Netflix. Yeah, man, just chill. I'll be here over.
Yeah, if my doctor told me, hey, you're gonna have a couple IVs, and if you want to, make it around Legion's Con, I'd be like, all right, hook me up, man. I'm not missing Legion's Con, so whatever you gotta do.
Vodka, and the other one would be like orange juice. I'm like, let's just get this. Let's just go.
Real quick, Jose, what are you asking? Which Instagram and Facebook? If you're asking for Scott's, it's on the bottom down here. It is it'll come up here on the end. It's at Scott Warren and some numbers. There we go. Scott Warren 9654 on Instagram, and it's just Scott Warren on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, Scott Warren on Facebook, and I also have it's called Soru Studios, SO-RU Studios on Facebook, and that's where I'm posting up a lot of stuff. I'm starting to post more there.
Okay.
And it's a way for you kind of to follow me there as well. But mostly it's Instagram and Facebook on Scott Warren that I'm posting stuff up. And then a YouTube channel that's still only got like 15, 30-second little clips. There is the 12-minute video where I talk about how I gave one of those the Joker heads to Humpty, and then I got inundated with like almost 300 calls of wanting stuff for free. And they all were like, well, you're an artist. You can do this for free, right? You can't hook me up with something for free. And it's like, you realize people are paying for my talent and my time. They're not really paying for the product anymore. They're paying for my talent, my time. And I love, when people buy stuff from me, but one guy, one girl, both fake charities. And I always go for the charities first. I'll always go for a charity first, or anything like that. But literally a guy called me and says, hey man, I'd love to put this in a charity event for me and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and my usual go-to question is, hey, what do you think you can get for that in your store? And if they come back with a price, I know I'm talking to a fake charity or I'm talking to somebody who's wanting to sell it, get it from me for free, and then try and sell it. And he was like, oh, I think I can get that $700 in my store easily. I said, oh, so you're going to put it in your store and put $700? And it was click. I was like, okay, busted. And then the other lady was like, after 2 conversations via email, she just stopped talking to me. And I looked up her little charity, and there was no charity. That person didn't exist. Like, you have to do due diligence and look into the stuff before you just start throwing stuff out there. And so, but yeah, that's my whole, hey guys, take care of your artist. If your family members, don't ask for shit for free. Right. Cost. At least cover the cost of the product and your time. If that's all you can do that.
Yeah.
So that's my whole come to Jeebus. Come to Jeebus. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Come on, we got to talk about this. But yeah, I mean, that's just one of my passion things. I always go for the charities first.
That's cool.
Okay. Hank, in case you missed it, it's SO-RU Studios on Facebook.
And we do have slots right now for commissions. So we are open for commissions and stuff like that. I'm going to be starting to do more YouTube stuff, and we're actually going to be filming it in Charles Collectible Shows.
Cool.
And we're going to be doing that a lot here. But like I said, if I can swing it, I'm going to try to sponsor someone to get to New York Comic Con for Gundams. And if it's a good Gundam, it's a custom Gundam, it's whatever you can do. I really want to try to get, because in our area, we're known. We have a Gundam base store. We got Gundam Play Store. Not too far from us in Florida is USA Gundam Store. So there's a good amount of mecha guys here, but there's some of them that are super snobby. Oh, sorry. I live with my mom. I'm 30 years old. My mom gives me $1,200 a month to buy Gundams, and I won't let my sister move back in because it's my Gundam room. There's those guys. And then there's the other ones that are like very shy, very introverted. They don't want to talk. They don't want to look at you, but they put out some of the most beautiful work I've ever seen. There was one. He did a porcelain plate Gundam. He hand painted all the blue porcelain on an all white unicorn perfect grade Gundam, and it was breathtaking. And I even said, I will give you $5,000 for this. I will pull a Roth account, I will empty it, and I will make sure you get it. And he was like, no, I'm going to give this to my little sister. She loves it. Instant respect. Yeah. Instant 100% respect for that guy. But I've not seen him since. He took a job at a factory, and he just, none. No more Gundam. No more nothing. It's just factory work now. I'm like, Quan, man, you're killing me, dude. You were too talented. Oh my God, it's breathtaking work. And that's, it's just, that's what I want to do here in Georgia. I want to push the Gundams because I love them. I over here on the far side, it's just Gundam City, and my entire family is like, oh, Dad, you got another one. Looking at me like, my house looks like a toy museum. Kind of like yours in the background. My house looks like a toy museum, but I don't have cases for my stuff just everywhere. And we're actually getting ready to, where's he at? Here he is. That guy. I finally got mine in.
Oh yeah, nice.
And the only thing that I'm doing with it is I'm leaving the background alone, but instead of it being that color gold, I'm actually going in and I'm actually going to make it pearl. I'm going to make it like it's actually ivory white pearl, and I'm going to go through and do a bunch of inlay work. And the other thing is watch for that guy in the future. Watch out for that.
Which one is that? I can't remember oh, is that the tiger?
Watch for that in the future because thing's going to be gorgeous. But yeah, I'm and the Monkey King himself, I'm actually going to make it the actual hair I loved the way they did the hair because Monkey King has like blondish colored hair, but I actually literally want to make it the hair tone darker. But it's just me. I paint everything. I painted my PlayStation 5. That's how at the end of the play. I actually did a Spider-Man motif on the PlayStation 5, where Spider-Man's on one side and he's looking out, and as the line comes through, it almost looks like New York City, and he's sitting on the side, like he's on the side of a wall. And I did it that way because it's mine. I'm never gonna get rid of the damn thing, so it's like that's mine, And I was that little kid, like Cartman, like.
Well, I just got to make you promise to Curtis that you're going to at least look at the Monkey King as is for what was it, a minute or two?
At least appreciate it for what it's worth first.
Oh no, I love. I've got two. I got one out of a box, and I got the one in the box.
Okay.
I absolutely adore the Obscurium that they have. I ordered, and this is where it's still infuriating. I went on eBay and I ordered one of the first Headless Horseman, and I ordered it. I spent $280 from this guy on eBay because he had it brand new, and I was like, I screwed up at Toyland and I didn't grab one. I was like, they're gonna have plenty of those. I didn't realize they're not in stores. That's my bad. So I passed on it. Well, I spent the money, never got it. Never got it. So I put a dispute about, I think it was like 6 weeks later, I finally got my money back. And I was like, because guy never shipped it. He never had it. He put it up for sale and never had it. Yeah. So it got taken down from eBay. And then I saw the new one coming out with the green. And now Chance from Second Chance he's bought one and he's gonna do a Green Goblin rework on it. So I'm actually gonna do the Green Goblin repaint job. I actually have the glider. I have a glider, and I'm going to medieval time kind of the glider out. So I'm gonna put little pieces of plank, pieces of wood on it to make it look like it's a bewitched glider. And then I'm gonna put everything else on top of it. So when you see that guy flying, it's the headless Green Goblin. And I'm gonna repaint the pumpkin so it looks like they're actually on fire in the front, and it fades to that green in the back. And then
that's cool.
There's gonna be spotlights underneath it, kind of shining through with like little green spotlights and purple and a little bit of red and yellow to kind of offset it to almost look like it's demonic. Like this demonic flying wood thing is coming after you. And I've got the whole thing pictured in my head how we're gonna do it. And I'm custom mixing the paints right now. I'm actually getting all the paints custom mixed so I can put them aside because one color black, you split that down to almost 7 colors of black. And dibs. But one thing that a lot of people don't, you can pastel any color. It does not matter the color. Black, gray, purple, red, blue, green, orange, crimson, doesn't matter. Bleach bone, taupe, a medium tone khaki will pastel every single color you work with. You start with 2 colors of your primary, you do 1 dot. Mix it together. Another dot when you're done with this color, mix in 1 more dot of bleach bone, then another dot of bleach bone, and you consistently walk down the layer until you're almost just bleach bone itself, with just a small hint of what the primary color is, and it literally gives you the entire spectrum. So you went from 1 color to almost 36 colors, and everything in between.
Oh,
wow. Really, it multiplies as it's going down. And my wet palette on an average day, and my hand in this area, like my thumb, like you said, your thumb, like my thumb from here to my wrist and all the way up to the top of my finger is usually covered in paint swabs.
Yeah.
It's just covered all day long. And if they did one of those naughty channels like they do for your feet, I sell pictures of your feet, sell pictures of your paint in your hand. I'd be all over that every day. I'm like, yeah, take a look. You like that? Yeah. That'd just be the way I do it. But
thumbs, pitching it right now. Only thumbs.
But yeah, there's so many different things.
That's
I was showing you guys this earlier, and this is one of the bikes that's going with one of the Trons or one of the Iron Man.
Yep.
We got 4 or 5 of these now, and every one of them is going to be split apart. Every one of them is going to get an LED package. Every one of them is, even like the front wheel, you're going to have LEDs that you're going to see in here. And I'm building a rotor for this as we speak. So when you spin it, it's this is going to stay the same, but the LEDs are going to be up in here. And
wow.
that spin. But yeah, I just started painting on this. I'm literally hand painting the whole thing. So this is all started with me. Only thumbs. I love it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I love doing this stuff so much, and I love showcasing. I love people. I want someone to paint better than me. Ultimate goal. You have to take what I teach or what I give you and kick my ass. That's what I want, someone to kick my ass when it comes to painting. A lot of people have. A lot of people will. And I'll be humbled, and I'll always be one of those guys wanting to learn more. I mean, 49 years old, and I'm still learning how to paint certain things, and I'm loving it. I have got 4 motorcycle helmets out in my garage right now that we're airbrushing for Predator. Literally, we're airbrushing the mouth for Predator. It's just coming back through. And then the guy wants me to paint his wife's face with the Predator mouth with his wife's face. You're going to get me shot, man. I said, I know your wife. You're going to get me stabbed and shot. But he thought it was funny. And then, Lord help me. There are people in Japan that send me statues of them and their wife in the middle of sexual things. And there's a statue where someone scanned them in the middle of the action. They stopped, looked, and smiled. And it was like, no.
Take that, Brian Almeida. I don't see you doing that at Legion's Con.
I don't want to see him doing that at Legion's Con.
And then they'll send you pictures like, hey, this is a close-up picture of the color of this. This is the close-up picture of the color of this.
Yeah.
This is the close-up pictures of this and this when they're intertwined. And then they'll like, can you match this color? I'm like, no.
I did want to bring up here, Stephanie Organ's talking about the Monkey King animated movie on Netflix. I was just talking to Jesse about that before the show. I watched that last night. I really enjoyed it. I've never read Journey to the West, and I don't know how accurate it is to that story, but I thought it was a really good flick. So
I'll probably be watching that tonight. Now that it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's like an hour and a half. It's not terribly long, but it's really cool. To see some of the details that are in that figure from the Four Horsemen, see some of those details come out in the film and see how they relate to the story was really cool. So I really enjoyed that.
I'll look at that tonight because, like I said, I'm leaving one alone.
Yeah, because
it's so beautiful the way it's just set up by itself.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is instead of it being the red cloth, I'm gonna go with a regal purplish blue.
Mm-hmm.
Things are gonna be changed up to the point where it almost looks like it's something right out of a dynasty, like a Dynasty Warriors kind of a thing. I'm almost going Liu Bei, which is one of my favorite characters from the video game. Is Liu Bei.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go his kind of style of the flowing cloth and whatnot. I'm not going to do a whole lot with the face. I might brighten the eyes up a little bit, maybe do some highlight work. But most of that work is beautifully done. I just want to darken the fur so I make it look like Liu Bei from Dynasty Warriors, a video game. That's really what my inspiration is going for. Because I'm all over the place when I'm looking at stuff. I'm pulling out, like I said, Bionicle. I'm looking at old Legos. I'm looking at 1970s, 1960s Hasbro, and even some Planet of the Apes. There's one of the Animal Kingdoms, the very big ape. I want to do a whole cloth format and make it look like the Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes, one of the big commanders.
Oh,
yeah. I've got the sculpts already built for the helmet and some of the body armor work, and I just want to go balls to the wall crazy with it. But that's just literally what I do. I mean, if I get something, if it doesn't go on the wall in a box and be hung and never touched, it gets pulled out and one of them gets repainted every day. Nice. So, but yeah, I got. Let me show you.
That is one figure that I don't think I could ever bring myself to paint is the Monkey King because I just think it's so good.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Science officer.
That one right there. This is going to go the 1950s black and white North.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this motif is going to go. It's going to go all blacks, all whites, all grays, and I'm going to do a directional lighting. So it's going to come from the right to the left. So the back of this figure is going to be pure black.
Mm.
You see it, but it's going to fade. It's going to give that almost like a 300th. 300. It's going to give that kind of feel like a Kurosawa film.
Mm.
Okay.
What is it? Ghost of Tsushima. I can't say it right. The video game about the samurai becoming a ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Love the way they did that, and I played the whole game in the black and white format. So that's
Okay.
really what I want to do. I'm gonna take a couple picture cells and actually pull that up and actually literally do this as a black and white motif. And yes, it will be for sale. But I want to. This is one of the ones I want to flex out as hard as possible and make it look like a cultural piece. Like it's not just
Okay.
an action figure. This is going to be an actual work of art when I'm done.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll look forward to seeing that.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Well, Scott, anything else that you got coming up that you want to promote? Obviously, I know you said you want to try to make it to Legion's Con. You got some other shows and stuff coming up, but anything else you want to talk about before we close out the show?
Well, we are looking at, like I said, the action figures for myself. I'm trying to put some stuff out. There's 4 figures that we've got. I've got all the design work done, all the 3D mapping done. We've got all the wire work done and everything like that. Train Assassins is going to get a new logo, but we're actually going to be trying to put out a board game as a complement to it, because I've painted so many years for other board game companies and tabletop companies that I fell in love with the genre that I want to mix the two. You can not only have your really cool action figure that you have, but you have an actual tabletop game. It's $100. You get 2 armies, and you can sit on an actual table, coffee table, or a kitchen table, and play a game. You don't have to have $1 million in terrain or a big open battlefield, or I have to have 4 foot by 6 foot. If not that, you can't play in the game. No.
Right.
I just wanted something where, hey, 45-minute game, get in, get out, and have fun with it. And then paint your own miniatures. Put them together,
Gotcha.
paint it any way you want. Get as crazy as you possibly can with it. It's yours. There's no parameters on what you can and cannot do. If you want to paint it gray and put a little bit of black and one color red, and you're done, you're done. Like there's certain companies, Games Workshop, you have to have 3 colors on the model to play it in a tournament. You have to have 3 colors, 3 distinguishing different colors on the model, or you cannot play in the tournament. To me, that's kind of bullshit. If I'm buying a model and I'm spending $90 to buy a box of like 5 or 6 guys,
Right.
The models you got to put together. Don't tell me I have to put like three of them colors. If I don't have time to paint it, I just want to play the models.
Right.
Well, then again, that's where my studio got a lot of work from, is Games Workshop and doing stuff with people all throughout Georgia, and a lot of people in Germany, and a lot of people in Sweden and stuff like that, and Poland send work to me on a regular basis, and I love those guys. But a lot of it is I can't paint it anymore. I used to have me and 13 guys painting. Now it's just me. After COVID, it's just me.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just me painting, and then I picked up a couple other guys to help me do some work, but they're kind of hitting here or there. But yeah, it's this Charles Collectible Show. It's here in Georgia. They call it CCS. Charles is a great guy. He used to work at Frankincense. He was actually one of the Yu-Gi-Oh powerhouses.
Okay.
He would actually literally fly every other week to Japan and buy Yu-Gi-Oh and buy cards and fly back and then sell them, and then fly back again and buy more. So he's a powerhouse. He's a powerhouse.
What a life.
Yeah, but he started the whole thing where all those vendors come in, and we act as it's an actual permanent location for us.
Mm-hmm.
Toy show every single weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday, and it's free to get in. It's absolutely
cool.
free to get in.
That's great.
The other thing that I kind of, if you guys are interested in my work, let me know. Private message me, DM me. I don't even care if people know my cell phone number. I don't care. If you like my work, call me. If you have a problem with a color, call me. I don't hide technique anymore. I will give away freely. Now, if you want to actually sit down and actually paint with me, one-on-one, that's about $400 for 2 days. One-on-one, and you're with me for like 20 hours. You're there for 10 hours. So bring a lunch, get yourself a bottle of water. If you got to put a catheter in, get it done.
So what about something like one of your Century repaints? What would something like that cost if you were, let's say, at Legion's Con or something?
About $160.
Gotcha.
So I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not charging an astronomical amount of money for these guys.
Yeah.
Now, if it goes with the bike, it's going to be like $275 because it's the bike and the character, and they're going to be painted to mirror each other.
Right.
They're going to coexist in the same space.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be about $160 per that guy, and I know there's a couple other painters out there that are getting like $300, $400 for their stuff. I'm just enjoying what I'm doing.
Right.
If you want to pay me more for it, I'll gladly take a tip. But the Century start at 160 for the Century, so it's not astronomical amount of money. Some of the winged characters, they start at 250 because there's just so much extra more I got to do. The actual where do you go? The half trolls and the giant vampires, they start about $250 because I'm going to put an immense amount of detail, and they're always going to have some kind of tattooing on them. I'm always going to make sure there's going to be a tattoo somewhere on them. Either with a glyph work, your mom's name, your child's name. Try to do some kind of like, really cool tribal kind of format. There's always going to be something on them for, that person to make it uniquely theirs.
Mm.
Now, if they want to sell it, fine, but it's uniquely yours when you get it. It's not anybody else. So I don't try to repeat myself twice. If I can, I don't want to. Now, if it's like for these guys, for the Centuries, and they want to do like a group of 10, you want to do a group of prices per character because it's kind of a bulk price.
Mm-hmm.
But then just give me some time to get it done. That's the one thing. Just give me enough time to get it done where I can actually make it look good and each one of them actually match. So if you're army building or, for these guys, which with the Tron, I have like 50 orders right now. And they all want the exact same guy. And I'm like, guys, I want to change it up a little bit. I don't want to put out 50 of the exact same guy and everybody has it. And then the one guy was like, okay, what if I buy 30 from you at one time? And I was like, okay, that's about $3,000, but you have to supply me with the models or the kits. If not, I have to charge you, an up price because I've got to buy them, wait on them, whatnot. Like any kind of commerce.
Right.
I'll charge a little bit. And I got those in the mail yesterday.
Wow.
And she came in the mail yesterday. I was like,
sounds like you're gonna be busy.
I was like, I didn't think you were gonna go for that. Damn. Okay. I'm gonna take my glass and shut the hell up and go stand in the corner and be like, oh, everything's
yeah, that's a lot of painting.
Well, they don't take long. They're about 6 hours.
Yeah.
With those guys, with the Tron, it's about 6 hours to paint him from start to finish, but it's about 3 hours for the actual prep work. So in total, it's about 10 hours, and I can get 5 to 6 done a week.
Yeah.
On average. I was supposed to be at IshCon. Ish originally invited me up there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it with the upcoming chemo stuff that's coming up. And I don't know if I'm just going to have the energy to kind of go, which is another reason why I really want to get to Legion's Con. So if anybody wants to buy my stuff and help me get to Legion's Con, I'm all for it. I'm not asking for handouts. Don't think that. No, I don't want handouts because I'd rather work for it. Remember, old guy, white hair. I'd rather work for it. I'd rather earn it. But yeah, I'd love to go to Legion's Con. I don't care if I got to sleep in someone's truck. I'd love to be there and take my work with me and take a bunch just to showcase it. If not, even if nobody buys my stuff, appreciate it. Look at it and just appreciate it. That's all I care about. If you like my stuff, great. If you appreciate it, even better. That's why I love the fact that Slog went to Dub. Because he looked at it today and I gave him a price that he couldn't walk away from. I gave him a price he could not walk away from. And he was like, I didn't come here to spend money. And I'm thinking, you think I'm an asshole. And he's like, so it was kind of cool. And just hanging out with the guy. Dub has this presence. I don't know if you guys have ever been around him. He has this presence that's just palpable. I mean, it's almost like stoic. You walk around, you actually feel like, yeah, that's my boy. It's the same way with like Mike and Jeff and Humpty and all those guys and Diamond Dave. It's the same way. You get around a certain group of like YouTubers and guys you can hang out with. It almost elevates you. It brings your spirit up. You actually feel better. And tonight, guys, to be honest with you, that's what you guys have done for me. I was kind of down in the dumps today. I was kind of like, I'm worried about the first round of chemo. I'm worried about other things like that. But talking and being able to just verbally diarrhea has made me feel fantastic. Has really turned my day around, and I thank you. I think
that's great. I mean, your work's amazing. It's been excellent talking to you. I did have one more question. Is obviously love your repaints and stuff. Do you do anything with like third-party parts when it comes to this stuff, or have you looked at any of that? I know, one of the things that this community is big on with Mythics and Cosmics is, using a lot of third-party heads and weapons and different things like that. Is that anything that you've explored yet?
Yeah, we have. And I'm going to give you guys kind of a little bit of a scoop of exclusive kind of thing here. One thing that we've been doing a lot, and like I said, I love I love all the mythic stuff. And my one of my artists that he and I've been working together for a while now, and he's getting ready to go on payroll with me. And we came up with a concept for one of the heads from the side of the box.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I can't do it exactly the way because I don't want to step on Mythic's toes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to step on any of the artistic styles or the artist toes. Because as an artist, you don't want to do that. You don't ever want to cut down in the. It doesn't matter if they're brand new or they've been in it 30 years. You always treat every artist with the same amount of respect, regardless. So we actually came up with a concept of that.
Oh, cool.
Now, we do have to change it up a little bit. We have to rearrange it a little bit because I don't really want to go through and I don't want to step on any of the artist toes and mythics or four horsemen. But we came up with a render for this. It's a 3D render. It's something that we're going to put out and we're going to take to certain events, and it's not something we're going to charge for.
Mm-hmm.
At certain events, we're just going to pick out 10 random people and we're going to give it away.
Cool.
And that's one of the things I want to do. Like, hey guys, we can't charge for it because it's not our IP.
Mm-hmm.
But we can give it away for free. We can get you to put it on the Mythic and get, if you want to paint it, cool. If you want us to paint it, we'll charge you the commission, but not for the actual product. So that's one of the things we're doing from the side of the box of all the different characters. We're actually trying to pull pieces from that and say, hey, this is a compliment to them. This is a thank you for putting this stuff out. Because
gotcha.
Like Greg Cook says, toys are therapy.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff to me is literally painting on it is just therapy for your soul. It literally is something that can uplift you. Because I don't know about Curtis. Like you walk around your room and you got that kind of same look that I do. You walk around your room, you're like, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love every single thing. I love all this stuff. This is cool. And like the stuff behind me, like all the stuff up here. I'm such an anal retentive idiot when it comes to repainting stuff that if it's not right, I will strip it down and start all over again.
Yeah.
It's taking me 90 hours to do something. I will strip it down and start all over again.
Gotcha.
It's got to be right. And that's the way I see like the mythic stuff. They made it right to actually kill the OCD and the rest of us idiots in the world. Like, that's not right. We got no. But yeah, but I'm loving it. And like I said, once again, guys, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having a conversation with me.
I can tell you, be prepared because you're probably going to get a PM from me later this week. I mean,
my phone's going ping, ping, ping.
Yeah, yeah. I love my centuries, and basically, when I got into Cosmic, like one of the things that when I saw that century, I was like, I just want a bunch of these, and I want to make them like clone troopers from Star Wars, and like with the different colors and stuff, and the different ranks and things like that. And so that's what what's that?
4 stormtroopers already painted.
Yeah, so that's what I've been working on. So like I may be reaching out to you to say, hey, let's do one of these. I would like to have one of yours in my collection. So
I'll buy all these.
Yeah, I'll hit you up later this week.
I've got 5 more coming in that I bought for myself. There's a guy
and Cullen called it out. Yeah, and I'm talking about with my CA head, the meal sculpt. So I would send you a figure and the head because I just love that trooper head.
Looking at you right now, I'm looking at your beard, and I'm actually in my mind I'm picking out, the steel gray, the silver, the white, the black, a little bit of the blue and the jowl work, and the facial feature of how I could actually bring out the cheekbones. I'm looking at all that, and then I'm looking at Jesse going, okay, I need to do basically the redhead stepchild. You get a head sculpt, you've got to have that hat on. Your ass.
I have Brian scanned my head last year, and this is the one I painted.
Now you weren't in a sex position when he scanned you, though, right?
No, one's no. That's Curtis. Come on.
I just want to make sure. I don't know what that scanning process looks like. So
dude, with that hat, you have to get one that we can do a Where's Waldo. You have to do a Where's Waldo version of that. And like I said, if you guys know anybody that wants my work, or anybody that does want my work, private message me, send me a message. Anything I can sell between now and then and the next 12 weeks you get to Legion's Con. If I'm there and you walk up and you say, that's smoking hot, and if I got it in my hand and it's repainted and it's custom, well, guess what? You just won.
There you go.
Free. So, and
Awesome.
And first and foremost, when I say if anybody wants to buy my work, that's great. Don't people send me money for free. No. I had some lady do that yesterday. You try to give, I don't even have a Patreon. She was like, you have a Patreon page? I'm like, no. And she's like, start one. I'm like, why? She goes, I want to give you money. And I'm like, you're weird. You're just weird. I'd rather earn it. That's my biggest thing is I want to earn my keep. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Earn my keep, earn my way.
There you go. Well, Scott, it's been amazing having you on. We really appreciate it. We are going to put you in the back room. We'll close out the show. If you've got to go, you can. If not, hang out and we'll be with you in just a second after, as soon as we close everything out.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
Very much. Thanks, everybody.
Great time.
That was a lot of fun. I definitely am going to have to go back and pick up, a few different tips of things that he showed us and order some new supplies and yeah.
Yes.
So
very cool. Awesome. Yeah. So much to learn. And I think, was it Jose or someone said that they're going to have to rewatch the show a couple times. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I didn't have his Instagram on there before. So like during the show, I'm just like scrolling through and like zooming in on his pictures. And I'm like, man, this is great stuff. So
yeah,
it's fun talking to like our friends that we've talked to a million times, like having a Sean on here or a Dooch or something like that is great. But I also really appreciate when we get somebody on like Scott that we get to learn and meet for the first time and really find out about their work and what drives them. And, hearing that story about his teacher inspiring him and stuff was great. So yeah, good stuff.
Absolutely. Speaking of friends.
Yeah.
Next week,
what
we've got Brute Scale Greg, formerly Brute Scale Greg. I am not going to try to pronounce your name because I don't know if I've heard you actually say it. So I'm not doing that.
I love that you got this like to scale to where he is towering over both of us.
right. It's almost like I did it on purpose. I didn't, but yeah. So Greg's joining us next Sunday night, 9 p.m. right here on Shooting the Shelf. Let's see, we have what, OffWorld next week?
We're supposed to. We'll see.
And
supposed to be each and every Friday night, but I don't know. Getting my 3 co-hosts to join me is like pulling teeth. So
hey,
just so you know,
you're not making me feel guilty because I told you guys when this show started.
Joe, I'm just letting you know it's not me. When we don't have a show, it's not me. I'm just letting you know. Throwing it out there.
I only ever committed to every other week, and I would jump on off week if I got home early enough from D&D.
This is true. This is true.
I actually missed a week of D&D being at PowerCon because they did an extra one, and I was still on this show. So
I have no problems with that because you let us know that all the way ahead of time. Now, Dooch just randomly not showing up. That's a different story, but for another day.
For off week, it doesn't matter. For off week,
you know what? In my world, there is no off weeks. It's each and every Friday night.
Okay. So, well, I mean, the plans were made before the song was written, but
I'm just letting you know, Joe, each and every Friday night, I'm here. I'm at my computer. Whether they show up or not is I can't control that.
Well, I mean, do we need to? I mean, why wasn't there a show this week? Were you not at your computer?
I was. There was nobody else wanted to join me. So,
but you could have done it.
Yeah, I'm not going to solo it. That's just not my gig, man. I'm a latcher on. I'm not a solo guy. Nobody wants to see me.
That's not true. Just do next time. If we can't be there, just do a live paint session.
There you go. I should, what I should have done? I thought about it was jumped on Cullen's thing in the Cabal because I normally can't do that because we're doing an off-world show. So I thought about doing that, but instead I took a nap. So
Okay. Wait, let's, instead of us airing out all of our dirty laundry about what we do on Friday nights, let's
airing of the grievances. It's a Festivus.
let's wrap up tonight. Thank you everybody for being here. See you next week. Make sure you follow Scott on his Facebook or Instagram pages, or the where is it? The SORU Studios on Facebook. And I gotta click
And
that thing
see
off
us
again.
next week for Big Greg.
Yeah, Greg next week.
You got something on Thursday?
Mythic Minute, Thursday night, 9 p.m. I don't know what I'm talking about yet. I'll make something up before then.
Okay, cool.
But yeah,
12 weeks.
And make sure you go get your Thraxon Ox Crew Book 1 pre-order in. You got about a month left on that.
Yep.
Legions Con is coming up. Make sure you get your tickets if you don't have tickets yet. I'm pretty sure the hotel's still sold out, but there are other places to stay. And for those of you on the East Coast, New England area, RetroCon is coming up in about 3 weeks or so. So come out and see Len and me and Patrick and the Wolf King crew. And Len will be hosting the street team for the Four Horsemen with someone or a couple someones from the studio, I believe, are going to be there, but Len's going to be running their street team. So
beautiful.
All right. That's it for tonight. Until next time.
What's on your shelf?
What's on your shelf?